Keep losing sleep while driving in the backseat. What's left of me? Drowning in what feels just like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. Hard to keep the heat when it gets colder. You know, sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some parts. Days just keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm down in the lower, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark, and maybe just a better kind of bitter. Lose gravity, I'm swimming in the quicksand. Up to my knees. Keep losing sleep, I'm manic dream at midnight. So hard to please. Drowning in what feels just like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. Hard to keep the heat when it gets colder. You know, sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some parts. Days just keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm down in the lower, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark, and maybe just a better kind of bitter.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, peace, everybody. This is the Information Man Show. All right, everybody, thank you for coming on through. I want to thank everybody that's been supporting the channel. Every time I go live on the weekends and do interviews, I really appreciate everyone's support. And today is going to be another dynamic experience, I hope, for all of you. I've got Raw B Privilege. I love this sister. She has a dynamic channel, and I put the description of her channel, or her link to her channel, in the description of this video. She's on social media, so periodically throughout the interview, I'll be putting up alerts to you about her social media, and we're gonna have a very frank conversation. This sister covers everything on her channel. I mean, news, entertainment, social issues, what things that are happening in Black America, the fact that we need to be responsible for being in charge of our life. We need to be responsible for taking things straight on and being honest, and not being in denial, not living in magical land somewhere. So I've been on her channel a few times on panels, and we've had some really frank discussions as it relates to the Black community, relationships, men and women. We're probably going to get into some of those conversations today. She's a family. She has a family, husband. This sister is definitely about family. And I think that's one of the most important things that you can do, is dedicate yourself to building family. People talk about it, but there's very few people that are actually doing it. What I want to do before I bring her on with a beautiful clap, you know how I do it over here, is I want to introduce her through showing you a little example of a beautiful intro that she told me, you got to put this up before we get started. So I'm going to play this intro as I bring her in front and center on the program today. And once again, I want to thank everybody out there who's watching the program, who's been supporting the program for some time now. So what I want to do real quick is, whoops, I don't want to put that up there, but I do want to put that up there, is let me bring in this powerful intro of the butterfly herself, Raw B Privilege. All right, there she is on the screen there, front and center. Raw B, how you doing? I got you front and center on the screen. I'm glad
Hey,
you're here.
everybody.
I'm glad you're here. All right,
Thank
let me
you
give you
for
another
having
clap.
me.
Let me give you another clap again, though. All right. All right, there we go. So. Thank you. You look wonderful as usual. I've been wanting to talk to you. I've been wanting to get you on multiple times, but we're going to start with right now. Just for the purpose of everything, let everybody know who you are, maybe a little bit about your background if you feel comfortable with doing so. Explain to everybody, because there's some people who may not be aware of you, and there's some people in the chat room who may be aware of you already, but still, let everybody know what your channel is about, where they can find you on different social medias. What is the mission statement or the goal of what you're attempting, or not attempting, that you are doing on your channel in your perspective. Go right ahead, my sister.
Yes, first of all, you guys bear with me. We're getting some leaves and stuff cleaned up in the backyard, so excuse the noise. But let me tell you guys about myself. My name is Ruby Privilege, and it's funny that I chose privilege because I didn't actually grow up in a life of privilege, and that's okay because a lot of us don't. But I feel that everybody has the privilege to decide the end game for their own destiny.
Right.
And in my life, I've made good choices. I've made bad choices. I've been in sticky situations, and I've been very blessed and fortunate to rise above those. And that happens because I have a strong family foundation, first and foremost. Even when I was stubborn, when I didn't want to listen, I've always had my family, number one. Number two, because there have been opportunities presented in front of me, and I've always taken advantage of every opportunity. The butterfly progressive is multifaceted in what it does. The butterfly progressive is to ensure that young women have other avenues, other people to talk to, other people to show them a better way to live and to be. And it's also to help raise awareness for autism and help these, community outreach programs that aren't getting the funding that they need from the government. And right now, my company is in its grassroots phases. It's in its baby steps. You guys can find me on thebutterflyprogressive.com. You guys can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is the Butterfly Progressive and also Raw Beat Privilege. On Twitter, it's the Butterfly P17 and Raw Beat Privileged. But, I'm also starting now to get into podcasts thanks to my good bro, Information Man. He's actually been teaching me and showing me a lot. But it's just about getting awareness out, changing a perspective on the narratives that we are fed daily. We're fed stories to make us, blame everything on racism, be comfortable in our shortcomings. And it's like, that's cool. You can absolutely sit in that place and blame the world around you. Or you can say, you know what? This doesn't work for me. I don't want this for my life. I don't want this for my children. How do I change it? And how you change it is you put your nose to the grindstone and you handle your business.
Well, let's start with this, because you talked about family, and it would be ridiculous of me not to address this issue. On my second channel, I have addressed in my own way the issue of what happened to the young man in Plano, Texas, in the middle school, where he was being bullied, BB guns, made to drink urine. He was being beaten with a belt, and come to find out, there's been other abuse going on, it appears, by adults in this school. Racially, he's been racially assaulted. And then you have the issue about the young 5-year-old young man in his early development who was made to clean up a toilet because the teacher called herself trying to teach him a lesson when he's a young little man. And the question that came to my mind, and I should have put it in my video, is don't schools usually have janitors? But that's a side issue there, because I want to know, because you are a mother and you have a son, what in the hell is going on, Raw B? I've been saying on my channel, on the second channel, that, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic here, I don't know, that are these signs that maybe putting our kids in these type of schools and assuming that they're going to get a nurturing education where no harm will come to them. We know things happen in this world, but is it in the best interest for us as Black society to put our kids in these schools, which normally in some cases don't have representation of people who look like them, specifically at the teacher level? And I believe that racism, the white supremacy, as I call it, does start with white female teachers who are the first on the line to attack, in this case, and doesn't Black males, even though it does happen to Black females. But Black males seem to be the ones that they really want to get into the school, to pipeline, to prison, and criminalize them at a very early age. So let's touch on that, on these issues now that are happening with our kids in these schools. What are your thoughts?
Okay, there it is. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. As you know, I covered the story about the 5-year-old because that happened here in Little Rock. And
wow.
Yeah, it happened like 15 minutes from my house. And I'm very careful to label things if they're racist or if they're not racist. I prefer to look at the bad behavior in play. And then, like, when you further examine it, if the racism or if the hate crime statute would attach, that's when it should be applied. But first and foremost, that's not the first. I want to talk about him because I have a lot of information about that particular story. That is not the first time in that school that a child has been forced to take toilet paper and feces out of the toilet. It also happened to another little girl in November of that year. What is going on, honestly, in these schools is that, and I hate to say this, but a lot of African American and minority children do not have both parents in the home. They do not have parents that have the availability to come to the school and advocate on their behalf. So these things may be happening to other children, but it doesn't become a major news story because the parents are going into the school. The parents are addressing the principals, the superintendents, whoever needs to be addressed. And these teachers are being punished and put to the sidelines. When it comes to minority students, everything goes to the media because in our community, we have been taught sensationalism. Ooh, everything is a story. Everything isn't a story. First of all, you shouldn't want to embarrass your children on a public major platform in that capacity. Honestly, that child is going to need some therapies and stuff like that. Excuse me, y'all, I'm on mommy duty too. Some therapies and stuff like that to get over that trauma. But that is also, egregious child abuse. So that teacher shouldn't be allowed to teach anymore. And I think that
Yes, indeed. Tell the truth, please.
Tell the truth.
Yes. And I think when it comes down to our schools, the pandemic has been very hard for everybody. This past year has stretched people's capacities in ways that they never thought it would. But, it's hard work to raise children. And in the minority community, we are taught to push our children out as early as possible. As soon as you hit 18, you better have a plan because you're on your own. In other communities, that is not the case. They allow their children to stay home, to build up their credit, to attain their education, to leave their homes walking into a prosperous future. How that ties in is we're already setting up our children to be independent. As soon as they can talk, now we teach them how to do this. Now we're teaching them how to do that. Now we're teaching them how to do this so that by 18, they're ready to walk out the door. You have to let children be children. You have to really love on, nurture, and care for children. And I'm not going to judge any parent that sent their kid back to school because I'm one of them parents. Like, I love my kids, but, a couple minutes during the day is great. And especially if you're working and handling a business, kids can be a huge distraction. But, we have people like Umar Johnson that's setting up this school and people are hating on him. So then there's that juxtaposition. We can't complain about the system in play and then complain about the people that are trying to make a change. It may not be the change you want to see, but it's a change nonetheless. And I feel like unless you are actually willing to go out there and do that work and get in the trenches and raise the funds and build up these schools so there is teachers that look like us, so there's a curriculum that reflects our interests, you don't reserve the right to complain about people like Dr. Umar Johnson.
Well, let me say this, because were you, let me ask you, Raw B, were you, and if I'm wrong, just tell me if I'm wrong or right, because I think I heard you say this on your program one time. In my video, I talked about the Nation of Islam. They have schools, or they teach their own children. Black children within the nation are getting an education that's nurturing, if I'm wrong or right, from people who look just like them. If I'm wrong or right, tell me, were you a member of the Nation of Islam, or am I false?
I was a Muslim woman. I wasn't part of NOI. But even in traditional Muslim settings, they do have a lot of classes, for the children, and it is people that look like us. But they also, in the Islamic faith, they also are teaching about wealth building. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a whole different thing with that too, because a lot of people look down on the Islamic faith, and they shouldn't. I think that no one reserves the right to look down on anything until they actually have tried it for themselves.
Right.
You have to be immersed in a culture to really understand. Otherwise, you're just going off of confirmation bias. And I am a full advocate for people to not do that. You miss out on so many opportunities and so many blessings. Really, you do.
Okay. The reason why I'm saying that is because, if I'm not mistaken, the Nation of Islam, they start small and they build their infrastructure up. Now, you talked about Umar Johnson. I think personally, one of the reasons why people are, quote unquote, hating on him is because of the fact that it's been a number of years now that people have actually donated their money, and people are basically saying, okay, where's the school? Now, of course, we know that it takes time to build a school, but I think part of the problem is that it appears that Dr. Umar Johnson isn't very, how can I say, he's not very forthcoming. He's not transparent with showing people exactly everything that's going on. Now, I think the people that have donated to him have the right to know everything that's happening. People who have not donated to him don't really have a right to talk because they're not supporting the school. Now, people have the right to their opinion overall about him or anybody. But the people who have the most stake in this is the people that have actually donated. I donated to Dr. Umar Johnson a way long time ago, before I was even doing YouTube. And I have some questions. Because at the end of the day, it's about having something for our kids. And the reason why I'm saying this to you is because there's a brother that I know that goes by the name of Q Butter on these YouTube streets. He actually has a working, functioning school in the New York area. And I've got to be honest, because if I was not,
tell the truth,
I just would be lying to myself. He put his school together, and he didn't take a number of years, and he was very transparent. And matter of fact, he didn't get any of the donations that was reported by Umar Johnson himself, the 750,000, whatever he reported. Q Butter has gotten none of that amount of money, and he was still able to start small. I know Umar he wanted a boarding school. He wanted to have something very huge. But sometimes you got to start small to get to where you want to go. That's just my opinion on it. And you're right. If we don't like what we're seeing when it comes to our kids in school, then we should do something about it. And you're right, by creating our own schools. And if we're not doing that, then we got nobody to blame for this but ourselves, because we know that the schools, particularly when it comes to schools that are run by white people in particular, I don't personally think that they always have our children in the best mind all the time, because there's all these stereotypes that still linger in our society as it relates to black people and black children. I'll stop right there and let you rebut anything I said, or go wherever you want to go, my sister.
I actually agree with you. I mean, there has been a lot of money donated to Dr. Johnson, Umar Johnson. And I do think that he has a real big, grandiose plan, and he may need to narrow it down. And I also think that there's a pridefulness in him. He wants to be able to say he did it by himself. He created the first, Pan-African, whatever, compound school for all the little Black boys. And I think he should be including little Black girls, but that's a whole nother subject for a different day. Mm-hmm. But, with Q Butter, he did it the way that works for him. He started small, and that's why he already has something up and running. We as a people have to stop thinking that we going to do everything on the grand scale, like poo, pow, pow, it's popping. We don't have the capital for that.
Right.
When you have to rely, when you have to rely on your community for capital to build something, especially the way minorities are, we need to see everything. We need proof. We need to see, or otherwise it's going to turn into the social media circus that it is now. And we have to start being open and honest with each other. But that's too much for our people to do. It's like, I can't tell somebody this, that, and the third, because they might get the drop on me and beat me to what it is I'm trying to do.
Right. Look. You're absolutely right. But let me do something real quick, because I had a few people super chat at me. We got my man Clue in the house. He's your co-host of your show. He comes on there and you all both get into incredible discussion. Clue, thank you for the $5 super chat, my brother.
Thank you for the super chat.
And then I want to go up here and scroll, because I had Sister Tawana. Sister Tawana has a great channel, folks. Check her out. She gave me a $5 super chat. She says, keep bringing great shows. Thank you again.
Thank you for the super chat.
And while I do that, let's get into my super chat music here. And shall we, for a moment here, and here we go.
That's my song too.
Here we go.
Thank you for the super chat.
I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down that check. No drip, this tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies. Thought I could trust you, I find out you tried to zone me. I'm number one up on that court, I'm Nick with grades. The first one in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, thank you for the super chat. Tawana, everybody out there, let me get back over to Raw B immediately, and here we go. And
I love that song.
Thank you. While I do that, let me give some respect to people in the chat room. So what I'm going to do is go over names that are in the chat room as best I can. We've got, Deborah Catch by Faith. How you doing? We got Clue, who super chatted me in the house. We got Cosmetic Kid Young. Thank you for being here. Tanya has been a great supporter of the program. We got Back to the Basics. And let me see. Tanya says, they said the same behavior was done at the same school months back. It was Black girl, though, regarding that baby picking the boo-boo. And that's what she put in there. And then, of course, we got Raw B with the butterflies and all those lovely things in the house. Then we've got Back to the Basics again. We got Fashion for Life. Hey, Fashion for Life, how you doing? She says, homeschooling is much better. Let me see. And Mr. Pirate Brain says, we should stop using the term minority. And I do have an issue around that, which I am going to ask you a question about that, Raw B. What is your thoughts about that term? Two things I want to ask you about your thoughts about the term minority and the word that people are using today, which is called people of color. All right. We got Martin in the house. It's better to have many smaller schools than a few large schools, is what he says. Then we got Panza Hair. She says, if you are enjoying the conversation, please share and smash the video. Thank you. I appreciate that. And let me see. Peggy's in the house. Thank you for being here. We've got Just in the house. Let me see here. We got hey, how you doing, my sister? We got Joe. I can't forget my man, brother Joe. Love Joe. You can see him around the YouTube streets week in and week out. The brother is definitely a supporter of many channels on the YouTube streets. So then we've got Big Philly, Big Dog Philly in the house. OG, thank you for coming through and supporting the channel. And we got my man Kendrick, who follows me on Instagram. Very good brother. He sends me a lot of videos of other YouTubers who have really good channels. And then we got my man, Minister of Music. I got to get him on my show. Raw B, I'm going to be doing a religious show where I'm going to get a lot of folks on the panel that do religious channels to really get into this whole thing about religion. What does it mean? Is it relevant to black people still? And why are black men leaving the church? Because that is something that is happening. So I want to get some folks that are in that ilk to get their opinions. And let's get back to the topic, though, right hand. So, Raw B, you said a mouthful. You said it like it is, that we've got to be more about building small and building something big. When you look at schools like historical black colleges, and we know that some of these schools were funded by white slave masters, all these sort of things. But we do know that schools like Morehouse and Spelman, they all started in a little one room building, and the founders of these historical black colleges, those that were founded by black people proper, a lot of those founders are not alive today to see how big they are and how they have developed. And I think sometimes black people have this mentality, some of us, where we, like you said, we want to get the shine. So I get it. Umar Johnson wants to build something fantastic and be able to get all the shine in the press and all the attention on him to be able to build something where he's got boarding rooms, he's got something big, because you get a lot of attention when you do that. When you get something small that seems insignificant to the larger society, you don't always get the credit that's necessary and for your ego. But see, this isn't about our egos. This is about what's best for our children. I'll stop right there so we can go into other topics. But if you want to add something to what I said, go right ahead.
Yes, it's all about ego. Like, even, I've noticed that, especially being on these YouTube streets. Honey, before I came to YouTube, I thought people did what they did because they loved and enjoyed it.
Right.
Out here in YouTube or in La La Land social media, you're not getting any clicks. Oh, you're not getting any views. Oh, you're not getting any likes. So that diminishes you as a person. How? Like, people always want to be in the forefront of everything. What I have learned is slow and steady. I'd rather take my sweet time building my audience organically, and my audience come over there because they've grown to know me and, know what to expect from me over the years, than be a flash in the pan. But it's all about money too. Everybody's trying to get money. Now, when we come to, and I really think that people should never do anything out of desperation. Don't be desperate to make a coin, because then you'll sell your soul. You'll do anything for money. You'll do anything for clout. And that's a tragedy. And that's not improving the future for our children. That's not teaching our children self-esteem. That's not teaching our children value. What that's teaching our children is, oh, let me, do drugs and tell people that I'm doing drugs all over the world. Let me twerk and shake my tits for the camera so that people will like me. Let me augment my body. Let me not be comfortable with my natural hair in my natural skin because I need to be popular among the masses. Be careful about the masses, because the M is usually silent. Right. Now, when we get into conversations about these HBCUs, their tuition is pretty high. Like, it's $7,000 a semester if you happen to live in the state and you have established a residency. But if you're an out-of-state student, it's going to cost you $15,000 a semester. And most people of color, minorities, Black people afford that. No, they can't. So it's setting a stage of classism and separatism within the African-American community, because then you have a whole bunch of people that could afford it and they feel like they're better than, and they're not reaching back to their communities and making changes for everyone. That
all right,
part.
well, Raw B, let me ask you this question. because I have another explosive question to ask you. We hear it on YouTube. We hear it in black communities. We hear it in black society. We have people saying that we should always, there's a term called discriminate for the best. What does that mean? That we should be propping the best of black America up high and not propping the worst of us. Like, for example, I'm actually personally sick and tired of every time they talk about a black successful person, it is a black person who's either a athlete, and this is no shade to people that are athletes or entertainers. They have their place. They've had their place in our society for a long time. But I'm when it's a black athlete or an entertainer, we tend to prop them up. And the media, I don't know if it's us, but the media tends to run to them as if they're the spokespersons of the world, for black society, whether it be a Stephen A. Smith or Charles Barkley, for example, some of the kind of guys that make me actually laugh. They're always running to them. And I don't know any other group in our society where their entertainers and their athletes are their blunt spokesperson for the society. I personally think there's something off about that. Another thing that I notice is that we have black kids who have grown up. They don't get in trouble with the law. They go to school, they get their education, they come from a decent family, and sometimes they come from a poor family. And they don't always get propped up. But then you take the kid who was in the gang, who was the thug, who was causing problems in the community, who was selling drugs in the community like a freeway Ricky Ross, who we seem to celebrate him, but forget that he contribute. We can talk about what the CIA put drugs in South Central LA, but wait a minute, we still got a black man who assisted in pumping those drugs into the black community, made a lot of money off of it, and now that he went to jail and comes out and writes books, now he's able to go around and do a tour and talk about it as if he's some hero, when actually he contribute to a lot of people being destroyed in the community. As we want to point the finger to the government, yes, they had their part, but we got Negroes that are contributing to this destruction, and then we celebrate them, just like we celebrate the kid who was doing all that stuff, and then all of a sudden when he goes to college, or not even go to college, but he becomes a businessman and changes his life, we will prop that guy up higher than we do the kid or the young lady who went the right way and didn't get themselves in that kind of trouble. But we prop the guy up because, he was a thug at one point in time. Why do we have this attraction? I'm generalizing here. I'm generalizing. Why is there this attraction to the thug turned good guy all of a sudden with a business?
There's no attraction to the good guy aspect of that at all. It is a continuation. It is a modern day minstrel show.
Okay, thank you. That's
you got to understand. Yes. What it is they know that people have an affinity for money. So if they put out there to you that, okay, if you sell a whole bunch of drugs, pimp a whole bunch of women, go to the strip club and shake your booty for dollars, you know what I'm saying? You got that wet and gushy. You know what I'm saying? And isn't Rick Ross a correction officer? So his whole music is a lie. It's the illusion.
That's true. That's true. It's true.
It's the illusion. They want you to really think that money is everything. This is, I have conflict with the whole high value conversation. And,
yes.
I do something with a company that does both management and both building. And here's the thing. You can have a 6-figure income and also have a 7-figure debt. So are you really high value? See, we have to learn in our communities how it works, how that you make $50,000 a year or less, you can live a comfortable life if you know how to allocate your funds into assets, not liabilities. That's not what anybody's talking about, though. Everybody's talking about the best wigs, the best jewelry, the best clothes, the best cars, the best house. Oh, I got drip. Oh, I'm litty and I'm fly and I'm flossing. Okay, but what is that going to get you when you're 60 and you're walking around with a cane and you haven't really invested into the governmental systems that are built in to protect you when you get that old? You're going to be living off of $500 a month eating Friskies. Like, can we stop? I don't, child.
We got Topaz Presents. Neo Nutrient, the sister is in the house. She says, "True, Raw B, true, true, true." And then we got Mark G, who says, "I'm high value." Look, I said this a week ago on the other interview that I had, that the fact that you are alive, that God brought you into the world, your family, you're automatically high value. It's just what you do with your life, because this whole high value thing is heavily based on materialistic things. Let's say you are high value. Let's say you have a car, you have a house, you have the fancy clothes, man or women. And let's say you lose that income. That income stops coming in. Matter of fact, there were a lot of people during this so-called pandemic who have master's degree, PhDs, that found themselves out of work. So what happens when you lose the resources that you have? Now, all of a sudden, does that make you no longer high value? These are things that people need to really reflect on and think about. Now, Raw B, I got to ask you this question. Did you either see or hear about the interview that Maxine Waters, she's a congresswoman, she's been in Congress for a long time, part of the Congressional Black Caucus, and she represents California. And yet we've got black men that are homeless on Skid Row in California, and you hardly hear any of these black politicians talking about it. But this is what I want. This is where I'm really going here. She had an interview with Meg Thee Stallion, if I'm saying that correct. And we know that, in my opinion, what we have with her and Cardi B is the celebration of stripper culture, or the strip club coming right to mainstream. I get it. Make your money. They're making their money. They're making their fame. I get it. She was on Time magazine. But here we have a black congresswoman who is reinforcing her celebrity by saying that what she's doing is part of empowering black women. That somehow, now I know sexuality can be powerful. Men build societies, but women give birth to society. I get it. Women are very powerful. But is your power only in your sexuality? Is it only in your wet and cushy? Is it only in these images, once again, that they put black women on the big screen and they continue to over-sexualize black women? That's just my opinion from a black male perspective. And so I think there's many things, and I know there's been reports that Meg Thee Stallion actually is going back to school. She actually is educated, but I get that. All of them may be that way, but that's not what we see front and center, because the entertainment business only wants to sell us sex, and I get it. So some of these performers are doing what they got to do to make money and sell their albums. But Raw B, I ask you right now again, is that truly black female empowerment or black woman empowerment, whatever you want to call it?
I mean, I don't see how it can be when black women are always complaining that they are single mothers, that they can't keep a man, that they've earned a whole bunch of money and they can't get a man. They're not happy in their jobs. They constantly going back to school to change their situation. No, that's not black female empowerment. As a matter of fact, when I grew up, I was told, be a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets, not a freak in the streets and a lady in the sheets. What man wants something that everyone has seen? I mean, where is the mystery? Where is the allure? If that's, I mean, and I'm not judging women. If that's what you want to do, hey, let your freak flag fly. That's the life we live in right now. Everybody YOLO and all of this and all of that. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I don't want nobody to know how wet my mouth is, how good I can give some head, how beautiful my butt is when it twerks. That's not everybody's business. That's just my personal opinion.
Well,
that's just me. That's just me.
I think personally, Raw B, we're both on the same page, because I believe that whatever you do in the bedroom should be between you and the person that you're doing it with. There's an old saying, you know, there's some women and there's some men, believe it or not, who kiss, but they don't tell. I'm one of those guys. I've never in my life, in my experiences with sex and relationships and women, I come from a generation of guys that I grew up around that we didn't do a lot of bragging. Yeah, we had our personal conversations about stuff, but I only had one best friend in my life that I had those kind of personal conversations with. But I don't think it's something that I really want to make public to everybody. So I don't spend a lot of time, you know, bragging about A, B, and C. And just like what you just said. But this is the thing. Don't you find it interesting to have someone, and I don't want to put Sister Maxine Waters down. She's been doing her thing for years. But you do have to judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And I think it's dangerous when you have a congresswoman, a black congresswoman, who sort of gives legitimacy to this type of way of womanhood for empowerment. Don't you think that's dangerous? Because young kids are watching this. I mean, we saw Carly B when she had that music playing, and she immediately turned the music off because her child was coming in. So it's not good for her child, but it's good for us. Or maybe our child to listen to. What are your thoughts? I mean, we don't have to go open a big can of worms, but I just want to get your thoughts on what I was saying.
No, we can open the big can of worms. First of all, President Biden opened that Pandora's box when he interviewed with Cardi B. And that just lets you know politicians want your money, they want your attention, and they're going to use the trending culture as a means to get it. The reality is the constituents in her district should be appalled and alarmed, especially because there are so many homeless people in California. And, you know, they keep voting these people into terms that last, 6 years? For the Congress, 6 years, and then they wind up being there their entire lives. I don't think that these women should be put in the forefront, but you have to understand, in order to dismantle a society, you have to disassemble the mindset of the women. So you have a whole bunch of young women out here that think that behavior is acceptable and okay. And then these are women that don't have the opportunity to hear a male perspective. See, I have no issue with the manosphere because I know I'm not any of the type of woman that they are describing, lamenting about, or what have you. But I think a lot of young Black women especially need to take a trip over to the manosphere, need to listen to some of the things that the manosphere is talking about, and then need to sit back and evaluate their friends, their relationships, and themselves to see where they fall into that spectrum. Because men are vehemently saying, we don't like that, we don't want this, we don't want that. I mean, they do have some issues over there too in the manosphere, but I mean, I can understand it. Why would a man want to spend more than a value meal price on you when he knows you're not even going to require more than that for him to get your drawers? Women set the status quo for a society, and Black women are setting it real low. I said it.
Why, since we're going down this road, we're going to go here. Why do you think, Raw B, that there's quite a few Black women? I'm being modest here. There's quite a few Black women that are not getting married, because you've heard this on YouTube, and I find it to be actually kind of true. Black men, we do tend to set the standard as to who's getting married around here, while women, you actually control the gateway to sex and romance to a certain degree, because no woman's going to get married unless a man commits to marry you. And women in general, I don't want to stereotype here, women in our society are kind of conditioned culturally that you're going to grow up, you know, that's how it used to be. You're going to grow up and you're going to get married, right? Now, we know that women are going for their careers and they're putting back marriage for a little bit, and they're saying I'm going to have kids later, which I think is actually dangerous because you're having an unrealistic ideology where you think that, okay, I'm going to get my education and then I'm going to be somewhere in my 30s or mid 30s. Now I'm going to get that marriage, that man that's going to drop in my lap, and I'm going to have a family. That's unrealistic. It doesn't work that way always. What are your thoughts?
This is a remnant of the 60s and the 70s and free love. See, what I have noticed in my life interacting with women is that Black women, I'm so sorry, this is just borderline obnoxious right now. Women have this thing where, oh, I don't need a man and I can do it by myself, until it comes down to like child support, commitment, companionship. Then they realize that they actually do need other people around them. And I mean, as far as having children at a later age, I had my children at a later age, but that's because I didn't want to be a single mother. I think that we have a lot of pick-me-sha women that, you know, they want a man to pick them. They want a man to be engaged and enraptured. Oh my God. But I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to put the microphone real close so all y'all hear is me. But, you know, we have a whole bunch of women that feel that the only way to get a man to pick them is to open their legs. You have to have more than open legs and empty heads. A man was always going to sleep with you if you offer him the vagina. But what do you have to bring to the table that's going to increase his empire? That's going to increase your empire and yourself. You cannot have a partnership if you always have your hand out and you're begging. You have to bring something to the table, and vagina is not it. Because what I've found in life is men are not really that bothered by it. If they get it, they get it. If they don't, they ain't too messed up. Because there's always a chick that's gonna give them some vagina or some, you know, some head or whatever. Like you have to be more than that. And we have to start teaching our women that it is okay to tell a man, no, you can't have access to my body without certain things being on the table. Where are the standards? It's more than going to, you know what I'm saying, Papa Do's. Like, it's more than a man giving you a couple $100. Come on, man. Ugh. I'm just glad it's not me. Praise Jesus.
I think you have to look at what does society recognize. What's going on, Fashion for Life? Good to have you here. We got Topaz is in the house. She's agreeing with you 100%. And Back to the Basics says, I am 34 years old, so I'm past my peak. I can't go back 10 years, so I progress and move forward. This is the thing. I'm not trying to put an indictment on anybody. I just think that we got to be realistic about what's important to us. What are the priorities? I just think that family is a very important priority. But what you said was powerful, Raw B, because you said that you waited as long as you did because you did not want to be the quote unquote statistic of being a single mother. Now, this is no shade to those of you out there that are single mothers, but we're just saying in the best of the world, we would want not to be in a situation where we're single mothers or we have a family that's not combined together. Okay. That's just the reality. That you want to have a male in the family. And going back to what I said earlier, Raw B, that's one of the things that really is bothering me when you hear about young black males or even girls being treated in some way in these schools. And I said that in one of my videos, that the news always goes to the grandmother and the mother. And the first thing I say out of my mind, where the hell is the father? Why is it always they go to the mother? I want to see some fathers being interviewed and taking lead in these situations. I'm not saying that these kids don't have fathers. We don't know what the personal circumstances are, but I just notice it's always the mothers who have the burden of having to fight for their child. I want some damn fathers to step up here. And I know they're out there.
But this is the thing. When you have women that are just sleeping with men because they want to be picked, and then, you know, they get left with a child.
Okay.
The father may be paying child support. The father may be visiting on the weekends, but he's not part of the day-to-day infrastructure in that child's life. And this is why
Right.
Black women do have to choose better. You do have to be protective of your womb. Because I'm going to tell you something. And it's not a judgment on you. It's just a call to think about what life will be like daily. That means daily, everything is on you. From the moment you open your eyes to the moment you go to sleep, everything that child needs is on you. And I'm sorry, money doesn't cut it when your child is sick and going through, and now you're sick too because the child that made you sick, and you don't have anybody to lean on except for your elderly mother or other family members. And that's not really fair to place that burden on other people for a decision that you made with your body to sleep with someone that you had a good knowledge might possibly not be that guy. And another thing too, when I was growing up and, I wasn't having children by like 19, 20, 21, 22. It's, oh, you think you're better than because you're going to school and you don't got no kids. Stop telling people that they think they better than because they're making wise decisions. Stop telling
Right.
people that they sound white because they're getting an education and they have to drop the ebonics and speak with a proper vernacular. Because even
See,
though I
Raw,
speak proper, I will turn up,
right. But see, Raw B, that's exactly what I'm saying. We a lot of times we'll have some Black people that will say, hey, we need to do better. We need to do this. Okay. Soon as you have organizations, let's say I'm a member of a Black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And in our organization, people would say that we're elitist because we look for the best. But we'll hear Black people say this all the time. When are we going to have the best of this and best of that? The truth of the matter is, it's not just Black society. It's every society looks for the cream of the top in their society. So we can't, if we tell our kids to go to school, get an education, learn to be an entrepreneur, have your own business, don't get yourself in trouble, don't get yourself in buy a nice house, buy land, have all these different things, then how can we turn around, because we're being hypocritical, and criticize that person that was able to do that, whether they came from because there's people that come from poor backgrounds like myself that were able to achieve certain goals. I shouldn't be demonized for lifting the bar and improving myself for my future and my family. I shouldn't be called a sellout or Uncle Tom or you think you're talking white. I had this growing up where people would think, oh, you think you're better because you're getting education or you're getting ready to go to college, man. And I would be like, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I'm just a brother that grew up poor, went to school, got some education, and did something besides just sitting around and hoping that something was going to drop in my lap. That's all. I don't think I'm better than anybody. But when people achieve certain goals in life and you join certain organizations, people automatically think that you're better than. I don't think I'm better than anybody who did not go to school. I just think that I had an opportunity that they may not have gotten, or maybe they didn't take advantage of. That's it. So why can't we celebrate Black people that have taken the time to cheat? Because see, this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand, that would say, well, you're elitist. If you didn't go to school, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody, but if you didn't go to college, if you didn't go through the rigorous stuff that you go through when you go to school, then being Black, you do deal with racism in these colleges, which I dealt with. Then you don't really understand when you look at a Black person that's achieved a certain level of success and you assume that it was just easy for them when it wasn't. And
Exactly, that part. Like when I was going to college, especially when I got my science degree. When I was going for my science degree, I was working on campus at the police department, at the caddy, and at the dining hall whenever I didn't have a class. And I would go home and I would work like a 40-hour, 56-hour week in a weekend. because I had to pay for my education. Nothing was given to me or handed, and I'm proud of my education. But it's just like when I'm talking about my husband, people are like, oh my God, she's always talking about her husband. Like, I love my husband. I'm happy in my marriage. So why would I not edify my husband? But because people live in these, in this world where they're not seeing relationships and seeing edification of people in relationships, they get it twisted. They're like, oh, you're bragging. No, I'm happy. It's sad that you see happiness as bragging. When you start looking at other people's joy as an issue, maybe it's time to reevaluate your life and see why you are not achieving a certain level of happiness.
Let me just say this, Raw. You're right on top of it, Raw B. Do we have black people in these organizations that are elitist and think that they're better? Yes, they do exist. But I would say don't judge everybody. I think you once again have to look at the fruits that tree bears. What are people doing who have achieved a certain level of success? Whatever we deem success to be, because people tend to associate success, Raw B, with how much money you have, what kind of car you drive. I don't necessarily. I don't. I look at those are perks. I look at those as perks. But I look at other intangibles to me that makes a person successful. And to me, once again, as a man, if you have a family, if you've been married and you've had a family and you have been able to raise a family, you've been able to take care of a family, take care of a wife, your children, no matter how much money you have, I see that as a certain level of success, because I know personally, because I was married for 15 years, what it takes as a man as well as a woman to run a household and to work with one another and deal with this society that we as black people have to deal with when we go out into the world. To me, any man or woman that can be successful is doing, to me is success. Now, I had a taste of that type of level for 15 years. And of course, things did not work out towards the end. My ex and I have an animal relationship. I have a daughter and I take care of her and I'm involved and there's no drama. We don't have drama. We decided what was best in our interest and we handled it like mature adults. And you see, I have up there, Black Fathers Matter. Raw B, let me ask you this question. From your experience, and you can be honest. We got to be honest. We got to be truthful here.
Tell the truth.
How often have you seen black men that are fathers not really want to be in the life of their child? We know that the dusty and the musty and the crusties are out there. But most of the brothers that I know from a male point of view, they want to be in the life of their kids, even when they're divorced. And sometimes the family courts make it difficult. Maybe the woman has made it difficult. It happens. But for the most part, there's a lot of black men
I think
that are doing what they're supposed to do. Go ahead. I'll stop there. I've said enough.
Right.
Go ahead.
You're a mess. It's okay. You said some powerful stuff there. But I really do believe, like, when there's a relationship and there's commitment established before a pregnancy occurs, even if the commitment is just like boyfriend, girlfriend, I think those men want to be involved with the children, even if the relationship withers away. I think where we see the part that is widely broadcast and, the mores and the paternity court and, oh, you was easy and me and all my homeboys slept with you. That's why you don't know who your baby daddy is. That's for the people that's doing these, these drive-bys, these easy, quick and peasy sex situations. And then when they find out the kid is theirs, there's usually some contrition in their faces and they do still actually want to be involved in the child's life. But because there was no foundation, there was no, common sense, no common ground, no like-mindedness in the relationship. Now they have to fight with this woman because they done tore her down for, her whole pregnancy and beyond. So now she doesn't feel safe having him be around the kid. And it's all this tit for tat, petty ass shit that goes down in the community. And all the petty can be avoided with vaginal contraception pills, condoms. birth control pills, spermicide. Like, I'm not here telling people what not to do with their body. Your body is your body. But if you're going to be out here and you're going to be dipping it low and spreading it wide, protect yourself to the highest. None of these birth control methods are 100%. So you have to use them in conjunction with one another. If you're using a condom and you put the film in on top of it, the 92% that the condom is going to protect you from, that vaginal contraceptive film got like 93%. So together, you over 100% protected. The likelihood of you having a baby that you don't want is minimized. But people aren't even doing that because you got people having raw sex all the time. And it's just like, I get frustrated because sex don't never feel that great when you now have to deal with a little person and someone you don't like. Because Black people in our community got it twisted. They think you have a child, you only have to deal with somebody for 18 years. That's a lie. If you have a child with someone, that person is in your life until one of you die, period. People got to grow up, man. People live in la la land. They go by what other people tell them. They don't really think about situations in 360 for themselves. What impact will this decision really have on my life? And I don't want to really get into the whole, tearing down Black men and women. It is what it is. We all know there's work to do. But that work starts with the basic things. Okay. How am I going to get this education? If I don't want to go to college, can I go to this trade school so that I'm still able to make money to live a life? Idle hands is always going to be the devil's playground. We got a whole bunch of people sitting around watching reality TV and trying to emulate a life that is not theirs. I'm blown away every day.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me just say this. I think that's really, we live in a society where they try to accentuate and say this is the norm for Black people, Black society, when I think it's a very small percentage of people who are engaging in those type of dysfunctions. And what happens is the larger society, and we do it ourselves, we accentuate that. We put that front and center as if that's the standard for what's happening in Black society. I see it here. I see it on YouTube all the time where people will make these statements and they will try to act as if that represents all of Black society when we don't know all of Black society. We got Black folks that live in the South, the East, the West Coast, all nicks and crannies of this country. And we don't know all Black people in every corner of the world. So we have to, so it is a generalization, and we have to be aware that sometimes it is a small percentage of people that were, the old saying is you take the minimum and make it the maximum, and you take the maximum and you make it the minimum in some cases. So let's get on to some other inspiring. What do you think? What do you believe? What do you think could work for Black society? What is it that we need to do? Because on your channel, you often talk about being responsible for yourself, making good decisions, being the leader yourself and not waiting on someone to lead you. What do you think is the secret ingredient that we need in Black society as a people in general, in the world, just give it to us.
As a people, we need to stop focusing on reality TV, drama, messiness, sex, and, pick up a book that's a little bit challenging. And I get it because the educational system in our communities is not really teaching us how to train our brains. And I've always been a fan of the newspaper since I was a little child. But my mother has also always reinforced my learning. If there was words I didn't understand, she didn't readily give me the answer. What she readily did was give me a dictionary and tell me to look it up. So when I'm sitting there and I'm looking up one word, by default, you're seeing 50 million other words. We have to start understanding this language. I mean, it's cute that we create our own little Ebonics lingo, Urban Dictionary, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? But the laws of this land are written in a very specific language, in a very specific way. Learn it. Learn the laws of the land, because everybody talks about what they want to change and they don't really know what they're up against. Piggybacking it back to the Umar Johnson conversation. He may want to do all these glorious things, but does he have his proposals together? Or is the state and town going to give him permits for the land? Does he have to modify business plans to be in context with their, city plan? Like there's a lot more to it. And once we stop allowing ourselves to be distracted by the distractions, I think we'll be okay as a people. Stop hating on someone. Yes, somebody that has money can be, kind to someone that doesn't have money. Yes, if you have some knowledge and you see someone else is struggling and they don't have it, give them a little bit of information and help them do something better. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, how big your platform is, or how small your platform is. Each one teach one, each one reach one. Sometimes it's the smallest seed that you plant in somebody that can change their entire future. But sure. We just gotta stop being so selfish. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this question. Powerful statements and truthful.
Tell the truth.
I gotta say something here, and it's gonna be not popular for me to say, especially on YouTube, but I gotta say it. If we're going to define ourselves, not that everybody defines themselves as this, but if you say to yourself, B1, I'm B1, or I'm we're pro-black. You hear people throw these kind of words around. Then this is the question to everybody listening, and give me an honest answer. How can I define myself as B1 or pro-black or any of these things if you define yourself that way? Because I don't believe in putting myself in a box. I think I am for the black community. I am for what is in our best interest. But if we are going to say you're B1, you're pro-black, whatever you want to call yourself, how can you call yourself these things if you're spending most of your time battling, arguing, and putting down other black people and getting into a back and forth while at the same time saying that you are pro-black? I need an answer to that, ladies and gentlemen.
You can't. And that's I'm glad you said that, because black people need to realize you don't have to attend every fight you've been invited to. Honey, people gonna talk. They're gonna have an opinion. If you can't respectfully disagree with people or express your point of view without belittling and diminishing, then say less. Shh, tranquilo. It's not even that serious. There's some situations I walk into and people are hell-bent on believing what they want to believe. Okay. Thank you for that information. But what are you supposed to do with that? But our people always got to be right. No, because what you had said, that wasn't true. But what I had said, that was true. So I'm going to need you to do it my way. Can it be that both versions are a portion of the truth?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a collaborative spirit in our community. And I know a lot of people that say they be one or whatever, but they ain't supporting black businesses. People worried about toilet paper shortages, but y'all need to check out cosmic9.com. That's a black-owned company that's selling bamboo toilet paper. Sustainable. But a lot of people don't know about that. But these same B1 people be pushing up what? Michael Kors, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Fendi, Prada, Nada, everything I got to do with somebody else. Mm-hmm. When I see somebody say black first, I need everything that you show me to be for the people, by the people, of the people. And if you can't do that, then you don't have no right to call yourself that. Period.
Oh, okay, now now you're on top of it. I got to give you a clap for that, because you're right on top of what I'm thinking too. Definitely. Now, Raw B and everybody listening. First of all, before I make these statements, let me give people in the chat room some acknowledgement because we have great people in there. We've got Back to the Basics, who says, Information Man, indeed, there is a fine line between correction and bashing and digging. Then we've got, this is my sister from Southern Cal, Sister AC. I got to get you on here as well, Sister AC. Good to see you, Queen. And then we got Tiffany Jackson, a great supporter. We got Dope Action, Big Facts 614. Welcome. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, everyone. And make sure, everybody, do me a favor. Put Raw B's, drop her link into the chat room. I'm going to drop it as well, but I need the mods, any mods in there, to start dropping a link to her channel immediately. And I'm going to put up some of her social media on the screen here in just a moment. We got Norman, who's in the house. Thank you. We got Fashion for Life. Let's see. Oh, Joe was in the house too. We got Clue. My main man Clue is in the house. Brother Aduvian, DM. Brother Aduvian is in the house. I want to thank him for being here as well. Everybody that's in the house, do me another favor too, is that I need people to share this video in your social media. And if you are a content creator, you know I say this all the time, put this in your community tab as well so we can get more traction on the video. I believe that we'll get more views on this even after the fact. So what I'm going to say here is this, Raw B, and tell me if I'm wrong or right. When I was in college, I'm going to give you a story. I think folks like when I tell these real-time stories. It's a short story. When I was in college, I got to a point where I was becoming very militant. I was involved in some various groups on college, which you would call revolutionary type groups. And so I got involved with some brothers. They wore the locks. They had locks. And this is no disrespect to people who wear locks. Don't say dreadlocks, because dreadlocks is a negative connotation, who wore locks. So we were in school talking about how we need to take command of this and command of that. So when you're in college, you get involved in groups and you join organizations and you have your moment after you've read the autobiography of Malcolm X. Now you have that moment where you want to get real militant, because I went to a college where we had black studies, one of the first black studies departments in the country, San Francisco State University. So I was getting pumped up with all kind of knowledge that I never knew before. So anyway, make a long story short. So these guys, they looked the part, Raw B, and everybody listening, meaning they had the look, they had the African colors, the garf, the hairstyle, and they was talking all this big stuff. One of them said, hey, I would never join the white man's military, right? So they were talking a lot of stuff. Now, then all of a sudden, what happened? One of them joined the Navy. The other one, they start changing their whole way they were. And I was like, oh, this is all talk. This is all just imagery. And what I found is that you can't judge how pro-black someone is or how down they are by their attire or how they wear their hair. We'll say, hey, this guy always wears suits, so he's corny. He ain't down with the cause. Some of the most militant and revolutionary people did not wear red, green, and yellow scarves. Some of them wore a suit and were more dangerous behind the scenes than you would ever know. And that's how it was when I was in college, that people got caught up into this look, this revolutionary look versus the substance. And when I looked at what these guys were doing, there was nothing that was substance. It was all talk and appearances.
Exactly. And it's funny that you said that, because that's exactly how I was feeling. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Black Panther. I think it's a good movie. However, when I saw the masses like Wakanda Forever, and I'm like, how are y'all saying Wakanda Forever about a movie, but y'all not on that same mindset in our communities? Like, people are full of crap. And it's real easy to say that you pro-Black. Like, I know you saw Judas and the Black Messiah. That movie really should hammer the point home for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That man was a part of Fred Hampton's whole entire group. He was running around acting like he was down for the cause, like he was with the people. Black power, black power, black power. But he's the same one that poisoned him and set him up to be murdered. Y'all better stop listening to what people say. I was told a long time ago, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. Period.
Right. 12 Veils says that it's all superficial. So what I'm saying, the reason why I brought this up, Raw B, is because the same thing can be said for social media, where people use terms, and when you hear those terms, you associate that with, well, this person is down for black people. This is what I've been saying, and this is the same thing in relationships with people, is that don't go by what people say. You go by their actions and their behavior. So if someone says that they're pro-black, they're B1, whatever, they're for black people, then what I do is I observe their behavior. And if their behavior shows that they are spending a lot of time battling with other black people and doing things that does not get us to unity, then I have to say that how can that person truly be B1? Or any of these things, when oftentimes when we talk about we talk about our enemy. Let me ask you the raw question: how often do we actually see black folks, even on YouTube, on these social medias, who say that they're pro-black or they're B1? How often do you see them battling against what they would say is the enemy, which would be white society? How often are they battling with those individuals on social media versus battling with black people? I'll wait, folks. I'll wait. I'll be waiting for a while. Let me, we'll be waiting for the clock to go around and around and around and around. Let's see. Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Raw B. I'm going to tell you, this is why I can talk like this. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you why I can talk like this. Because people who talk this kind of stuff, they've never actually dealt with white supremacists up front and close. Guess what? I deal with white supremacists up close and personal every day. I know what the ideology are because I deal with them in my work capacity. I know exactly how they think. I know exactly how they operate. I understand their gang structure because we have to learn that where I work. We have to understand what's happening with the gang structures and how they're operating. I understand that. I confront them. I could be talking to someone who's got it. I could be talking to an Aryan Brotherhood member who's got all type of swastikas on his belly and on his head.
Child, God bless you and keep you.
Now, I'll give you a perfect example. Jason Black did a video where he was exposing, white supremacy, and he had a meeting. What he said were white supremacists. He had a meeting with them, a sit down, and he put it all on camera. What I would say to you, based on my experience, is that white supremacists, a real white supremacist, are never going to allow a black person to come into their house, sit down with them, and film them talking about why they don't like black society or something of that nature. They're never going to let you in the door to even be able to film and put it on a video, because their nature is such. And I just lost Raw B, and I hope she comes back in. But let me see what's going over in the Raw B. If you're out there, you dropped. So please come right back in. And 12 L's, thank you for your statements. Let me see what I'll do as I'm waiting for her to come back. Okay, she's back on. I can't have her not be back on here. And here we go. All right. Raw B is coming in. Here she go. And let's go back. Let me put you front and center on the.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Maybe because of what I said that made you run away.
No.
Okay. So the reason why I'm saying this, because I got over 18. I'm going on 19 years of being in these environments. And the ones that I talk to who actually have killed people, have done all kind of mayhem, they would never sit down and do such a thing. Now, I'm not trying to throw shade on Jason Black, but what I'm just saying is that he interviewed who he interviewed. But the guys that I've dealt with that are the real deal, they would never let you bring a camera and put it on film and let a black person get some type of kudos over getting them on film admitting certain things. That would never happen. Not the ones that are hardcore and are active. Maybe the ones that are dropouts. We call them dropouts. Maybe the ones that drop out, but not the ones that are living it every day hardcore. Hell no. And so.
No, they can't, because their hate for you is going to make like, no, you can't even be around me.
Well, in the prison environment, the gang would beat you up if you were spending time with black people, or if you had a cellie that was black. They would tell you, if you're connected, you've got to get out of that situation or we're going to whoop your ass. That's how it works. There's only so many institutions where you have people, there's only so many institutions in California where you have gang members that will, what we call, program together, work together in a program. But for the most part, when you go to the hardcore prisons like the Pelican Bays or a CSP's Folsom or Folsom in California, they got yards where they have to separate some of these guys. They can't be in same rooms together. And when they're on a yard, like any tribe, they stick with their tribe. So my question is this: if black people want to say that we're a tribe amongst ourselves, then why are we can't be fighting one another unless one another betrays us? See, I can see if we've been betrayed by one another on some real shit, but some petty stuff, that looks real bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I've been stopped tuning in, because when I first came to YouTube, like, I was appalled. I was like, this is not true. This is not, what X, Y, and Z looks like, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to realize, okay, I have a different perspective than some other people. This is still, their real journey or what they're dealing with. And it's like, we used to have conversations in the community and it would be in the house. Like, yes. When we grew up, it was whatever happens in the house stays in the house. Now it seems like whatever happens in the house of Black society, it ain't staying in the house. We talking about it in the laundromat, at the grocery store, down to the pool, everywhere. Everybody needs to know every little thing. Notice, though, other races don't put their dirty laundry out there like this. A good example of this is the Meghan Markle interview. Oh, Meghan Markle, yes. Really, she could have went in, but she said, oh, I can't say certain things. That would be a bad look on the family. She understands her children is a part of that family. So even though she wanted to vindicate herself, she just not going to participate in the foolery like that. And Black people take every opportunity. Oh, I'm gonna say this and that and this and that. Let me expose you. Let me pull up and then you see this and this you see, because it's an insecurity thing. It's an insecurity, and they don't want nobody else to have nothing. And until Black people stop being crabs in a barrel, and until they start realizing that what God has for you, nobody can take that from you.
Okay,
it's not going to change. Right. It's not going to change.
Okay. Raw B, this is what I'm going to do. My young one is on the way. So when I hear the knock at the door, I'm going to put you front and center, and I'm going to mute my mic and deal with my young one as she's coming in the house and getting her settled in.
Absolutely.
So, but you'll be front and center to continue speaking to the people.
Thank you.
What I want to say here is that I want to thank everybody in the chat room that's come in. We've got Eric, he's a big content creator who's come in. Jay Sean, I want to say peace. This is a brother that supports me behind the scenes, that makes it possible for me to do what I'm doing. Everybody who's donated to me, however you donate, and I don't often ask for donations. The donations go back into the program. It goes back into what I'm doing. It goes back into the quality of the programming. Let's talk about that. Let's unpack this Meghan Markle, since that's the big news right now. I said this to myself a long time ago. I thought that there was going to be trouble when she married into the family, because we can all go back to how Diana was treated by the family, and she was English. And here you have a young lady who's mixed race. I don't think they ever really accepted her. And we know that the royal family has a history and legacy of colonialism all over this damn planet. They control 22. They had control over 22 or countries or places that they deem as a part of the Great Britain, of the UK. But I saw this coming because of the history of the family. And I do believe that they did have a problem with the fact that she has a black mother. And then we heard the rumor about what her saying about the child's color. And we got Piers Morgan throwing a hissy fit. And the people in Great Britain, because I listened to a radio show called Talk Radio in Britain, where I'm getting the inside track on what people are saying in Britain. And it's on YouTube, folks. It's called Talk Radio, just simply as that. And those folks over there are going buck wow. And then you have a lot of black British people who are saying, we've been talking about this for a long time, about the racism. They said that the racism is more direct in America, but in the UK, it's sort of covert. What is your thoughts about this whole Meghan Markle fiasco? Go right ahead.
This goes back to what I was saying before. Pick your mate wisely. Now, I had the fortune to watch the interview on Observe Channel, and the Observe Channel is a channel where he does some work in body language recognition. So that's why I watched it, just to see if she was being deceptive or if she was telling the truth. And I listened to the interview and I was just blown away. I think that racism is trash, and shout out to Observe because he really was quite firm on the idiocracy of racism last night during his live stream. So salute to him for that. But you didn't know who these people were. You claim not to know what the royal family was all about. And I think she would have had nothing to say about the racism if they didn't tell her that her child, Archie, is not going to be a prince, and that her next child, will neither be a prince nor a princess. I think she just was looking for the bag and the bigger reward of it all. And she was like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to go here. And I'm all for, listen, whoever you love, you love. No one can tell you who to love. But going into situations, if you choose to settle down with someone that's of another race than you, you have to be very honest with yourself and with your partner, and you have to map out what that relationship is going to look like, even down to the children. I think it's utterly deplorable that the royal family doesn't want Meghan's children to be prince or princess. I can't say that I'm shocked, though, because we all know the conspiracy that they had Diana killed because they didn't like her behavior. And racism is more, they say it's more direct here, but it's a lot of subversive racism and people don't even realize it. Like, it's to the point now that they realize in America the subvert racism is not really holding Black people down no more. We done figured out ways to, break out the hexagon of their system. So now it's more direct. It's like, okay, we got to take it all the way back to the KKK, but to those days, do what we got to do in that regard. In Britain, there is no pushback because they have a parliament. It's not about the people voting. It's not about the people having a voice. It's about them doing what their government tells them to do, which is why we have America in the first place, right? Because there was a group of people in Britain that said, hey, we don't like how this system works. We out this bitch. Peace. And then they came over here. So there really is no difference. It's really not. And I do feel bad for Meghan and her children, but what are you going to do? You're going to have to wait until the older members of that family, they pass away.
Raw B. Now my young one's here. I'm going to mute myself. You're going to.
Okay. I think he already had muted. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hey Jay Shine, hey Tiffany, hey Eric, hey Clue, hey AC. Right, exactly. She may have been in it just for the bag. Foreshadowed the swirling position earlier. Exactly. Like, people play too much. If you're going to have mixed race children, that's fine, but they're going to have mixed race issues. People from both races are going to have issue because they have drops of the other blood. And it doesn't seem like racism is going anywhere anytime soon, which is interesting to me because race is not a real scientific property. Race is a social construct. They decided to create these races based off of, physical markers on different geographical regions. Like, they literally have everybody in Japan and China just as Asian, and that's a race. Huh? That doesn't make any sense. But then they have, like, what do they have? Black, white, Pacific Islander. So that's how they categorize you from where you come from in origin. The thing that's funny is people that are brown skinned live in all those environments. I know people that are, dark skinned Japanese. I know dark skinned Italian people that look like they could be my brothers and sisters. Like, we got to stop feeding that narrative. When I cut you and you got a different skin color than me, your blood is still red, your DNA has the same makeup, the same properties, the same type of markers. So then it makes you wonder, when we're looking at like diseases that happen to certain groups, is it because of their genetics or is it because of what is put into the environment? Meaning their physical environment, their supermarkets, the water, because we see what happened in Flint. It's a lie. And Megan broke through the barrier, or she thought she did, because she got, the prince to marry her. And I don't really know how to call that. Like, because it makes you think, if they're so racist, why even let him marry her in the first place? Because they could have stopped it. He would have definitely followed all the rules. He doesn't really have that much of a choice unless he wants to be disinherited, which he chose because his kids wasn't going to be prince and whatever, princess or whatever. But you knew what your family gave, and I more so blame him than her. Because even if she was naive, like, oh, this is going to be happily ever after, he knew his family was not going to approve. So you set her up for dramatics, and you set your children up for dramatics going into that family structure. Honestly, I don't think the racism that exists in that family is ever going to stop. Because in listening to that interview, a lot of it came from Charles and Kate, not the queen, from Charles and Kate. Kate had an issue. She wanted her children to wear a certain type of flower girl dress and made Megan cry, and then put out in the media that Megan made her cry. And it's like, ma'am, that was Megan's day. Right. Race was generated to justify racism, the building block of capitalism. Child, you better say that. Say that. Preach a word. But and I don't think that that Kate and Charles have any boys. So of course, Kate and Charles have been married longer. So now Harry and Meghan, they're married, and they got the first little boy. So by all rights, Archie should be the next prince in the parliamentary procedure. Can you imagine a black man being a prince in the UK? Child, that might actually cause the black people in the UK to see some value in themselves, because they would see themselves in a high position of power. That may cause an uprising. That may cause, black people to secede away from the United Kingdom like Americans did when they got on those boats and came over here. The parliament is not trying to lose any money. Yes, Kate is jealous. Hey, AC, Star Talk. Yes, exactly. And Kate was everywhere. Kate was the topic of everything when she was marrying Charles, and Meghan outshined her. And I will say this to Meghan's credit. Meghan is a very beautiful young woman. She's very fair-skinned. She's very polished. And she held herself together even during that interview discussing something that was very difficult. He put it on airplay. Oh, let me take that off. Michael, please stop. What you doing, little child? I'm sorry, y'all. Mommy duty,
Okay.
multitasking.
Raw B,
you back?
I'm actually back. Let me shout out some folks that are in the chat room.
Okay.
Let's see. We got thank you for holding it down. We've got my man Clue is in the house. We've got my man AC Star Talk Radio. I got your email. I will send you directly what the interview will be about. But the interview is really going to be about Black society, my brother, about some of the things that you talk about yourself, you know. But I want solutions. It's going to be about solution based. What can we do to improve ourselves as people? What is it that we need to really do as men? It will be a manly discussion. As men, what are our responsibilities? And I talked about this with Raw B today, that family is the basics of everything. I got a problem. Any man, in my opinion, who talks against the institution of family, I got a problem with, because that's the basics of where it all starts, with family. So I definitely want to talk to you about those kind of issues, my brother. And we've got my man Randy in the house. Sergeant Randy, thank you for being here. AC is in the house. That boy don't even look like, he looks just like his dad. He does look like hair. He does look like, but the issue is you never know what the child is going to look like as they grow older and mature. You just never know. And that could be a concern for the family. Then we got Tiffany Jackson's in the house. And let me see, Clue, everybody that's come in the house, thank you for being here. Eric has come through. Tanya, Fashion for Life, Norman, just everybody that's come in. I really appreciate you coming in today. Make sure you share the video in your social media and your community tab if you are a content creator. Definitely would appreciate that and what have you. Oh, we got Miss Tara. What's going on, sister? 2.0. Good to see her here. MZ in the house. Raw B Privilege is in the chat room as well. And so, Raw B, as we get close to the conclusion, my sister, today, there's a lot of things that are happening politically. What is your thoughts on the issue around the stimulus checks? Because they spend a lot of time. There's all this battle between the fact that the Republicans did not want to approve this, and my thinking is that, well, isn't this our tax dollars? Why are they spending so much time deciding on how much money to give us of our own damn money? And then they hide it behind, well, we don't want to have inflation. We don't want the economy. But they give countries, and they've given the military over the years and other lands and foreign countries, they've given them trillions of dollars. And you never hear anybody saying we're concerned about the economy of the United States when they give other countries billions and trillions of dollars. We talk about foreign aid that's being given out all over the world. Joe Biden's talking about he may give out a couple of $1 billion down in Central America, because you've got people in Central America that are at our border trying to get in. And I live in California, and I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to keep it 100% real. We can't let all those folks come into this country. We don't even take care of the poor and the sick and the kids that are already here like we should, that are citizens. You can't let every single by the millions come in. Now, that's a very conservative statement that I just said. But see, I live in California. I see the repercussions of letting people come in undocumented. Then you got to figure out where they're going to live. What neighborhoods are they moving to? What jobs are they going to have? How does it impact the system that we have in place to help those that are born here? Now, do I want to see kids locked up in cages and mistreated? No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that at all. But the governments that they come from, where they're saying that they're leaving because they're being persecuted, we don't know why they're leaving. Hell, we've got people who come over from the border and other parts of the world who come over here, and they're criminals in the country that they come from, and they're trying to run away because they're wanted for their criminal deeds. And so how many of those folks could slip in through the door in the cracks? It just makes me wonder. So I'm very conservative on the issue of immigration as it relates to the border right now.
So this is the thing. A lot of people, hold on a second, please. 1 second. Yeah, I'm mommy's live. You try to ask me for that dodo stick because I'm on live. No, you don't need that. You're gonna have cake later. Goodbye. Sorry about that, y'all. When it comes down to immigration and the border, most illegal immigrants that are here from expired visas. They came in here with permission. So please stop believing the narrative that it's the people crossing the border. Now,
Okay.
my opinion is that, you know, they want to let this group of people in. And this is so a little background. For a while, I lived in upstate New York. And over the course of a decade, I watched towns that were primarily white and that had like African American people in them start having a majority of Spanish stores and businesses.
Okay.
Because they see the economic structure that this group of people has. See, they don't have a lot of ego and they don't have a lot of pride. They'll have a one house. They'll have like 40 people in there. Everybody's working at McDonald's, bringing in $100 a week. They're paying off their main bills. And then they're putting that money away for one family to lift one family up out of the poverty and set them free so that they can go on ahead and bring somebody else in to the structure, kind of like a susu, except for they're doing it in real time and they're really making it work for their families and their communities. They want the Hispanic community to increase because Hispanic people have a tendency to be fairer in skin. Not only are they acquiring race, but they also look like the prevailing power group. So that, and then they are willing to take jobs that people that look like you and me are not willing to take. So then that limits the availability for our group of people to make any fun and have any funds and have any growth. Now, when we're looking at the economic stimulus, that to me is a key in a universal currency. We're about to, in my opinion, again, these are opinions. In my opinion, we're about to be on universal payments, and whatever they deem that you are worth is how you're going to make it through. And I think that's also going to tie into these vaccines. But, you know, time will tell. But I've been pretty on point with what I've seen in the political forum. Joe Biden doesn't care about Black people. He said he wasn't giving us no reparations. Kamala said she ain't doing nothing for Black people. And Information Man was on my panel when we looked over his COVID task force and their, you know, recommendations for this vaccination and what have you. It's targeting us. This is the final stages of eugenics, ladies and gentlemen. Hide your kids, hide your wives.
Right.
And if we don't get it together, it's over for us.
Let me to brother AC Star Talk Radio explain a little bit further. You said that's not true. When you say it's not true, explain a little bit further, brother. What you mean? Let me see. Maybe I missed one of your comments. He said, "But our youth will take those jobs." Well, I think what he's saying is that there's been this prevailing belief system that Black people won't take these sort of hardcore jobs like working in fields and things of that nature. But we have to remember, and I think everybody can agree with me, that those were the jobs that people come over from the border are doing were jobs that Black people were doing before they came over here. So we were the ones doing most of the agriculture jobs. Matter of fact, when you look at our history, that's an industry that Black people should have locked up. If you look at every culture in this country, they all dominate a particular industry except for Black folks. We should really be the ones dominating agriculture, meaning owning agriculture, literally. But we were the ones working in the fields. We were the ones doing the domestic work. Our grandmothers, our fathers were working in these homes doing domestic work. And so I think this is what it is. I think that Black people will do those jobs, but we just won't do it at a low wage. Because why? The only reason why black people are not doing those jobs that people across the border are doing now is because why? We pushed education on our kids. We said, go to college, get education so that you never have to work with your hands like I'm doing. And so that was a legacy within our family structure in which our fathers and grandfathers didn't want us to have to do what they did. Well, there are certainly people within the Hispanic or Latino population or those across the border who will do the same thing where they want their kids to go to school and do better so they don't work in fields, and therefore they'll find another group. For example, they brought Filipinos to this country as well to do work in the fields when black people decided we were no longer going to do that work for those poor wages. So I think that we're willing to get our hands dirty, but the thing is we're just not going to work for low wages because of how we have progressed ourselves in this country. I'll stop right there.
Exactly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you didn't cut me off. Let's see what he's saying. Let's see what he's saying.
He said that was in regards to Biden's and the reparations. And I don't know if you ever heard that conversation, that leaked Zoom audio. Joe Biden said America is doomed because of African American people. And because he got so much bad press about that, he is now publicly changing his tune about reparations. But before that audio got leaked, he was not trying to push any reparations. As a matter of fact, what he said he was going to do was wipe out student debt greater than $55,000. He was not concerned at all with reparations. And there is audio of Kamala Harris saying, why would I do anything specific for Black people? No, I'm not doing that. So we have a presidency that now, because of the optics, they got to switch up their act in third gear. And I need people to not just listen to the sound bites or the news articles that you get flooded with once there's a stain on, you know what I'm saying, current presidency. Do some research, dig a little bit. The videos, even on Information Man's channels, there's videos on my channel that show you exactly how President Biden has espoused to feel about the African-American community. Maybe you missed those though, I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, I wish you had that audio right now so you could play from that Zoom tape. Yeah.
Let me say this. I did videos about the impact of immigration on Black society. It is going to impact us. Big. It's going to impact us big time. Because naturally, and I don't begrudge anybody. Naturally, when groups come over to a country, there's a thing called groupthink, and people do for themselves amongst their own group. And so for Black America, Black society, these groups are going to come over here, but they're certainly not going to come over here to be our friend. They're coming over here to get a piece of the apple pie, the American pie, to do for self. And so therefore, they're going to employ each other. They're going to have communities they can go right into that they can still speak their native language. So there's certain advantages that they will have to be able to support. They support each other. And when I said what I said earlier, Raw B, and I was very serious about this, what neighborhoods do they move into? I lived in Oakland, California for 10 years. Oakland has been gentrified. Normally, when you have poor people from the border come over, they move into Black neighborhoods. Then there becomes a social rift because why? We're fighting for resources. They're fighting for resources. Okay? Then there becomes the issue of bilingual education and our kids in these schools. And what happens is because there's a battle, because they don't come over here with this kingship with our community or this respect for our community in general, they come over here to compete and take care of their families at any cost. That does come to it does impact Black society in our communities. You see it in Oakland right now, where it has happened in Oakland, California. And so, so when Joe Biden is signing these immigration papers to bring people in here, he doesn't have to worry about how it impacts his community, because most of these folks won't be moving into his rich, plush community that he comes from. I'll stop right there.
Exactly. Not only that, but they also are given advantages. And trust me, because I used to be very good friends with an Indian family that owned the gas station, and they told me about like all of these grants and like yeah, just the availability to funds and resources without any of the stigmatism. You have black people. If black people go to WIC or welfare, it's like, oh, look at that lazy N word. But you see Spanish people living there, fam. WIC, out the door, food stamps through the roof, but they give black people the struggle packages just barely enough to not even make it through. So, I mean, and they also don't have the burden of 500 years almost of slavery and slavery legacy. I think that black people really don't like to do agro farming and agricultural endeavors because it's too much like slavery, and we don't want to get paid nominal amounts of money because that's actual hard labor that they should have been paying a whole bunch of money for, and they should pay in reparations. But I mean, then we talk about reparations. Who gets reparations? Anybody that identifies as black, because there's black of Hispanic descent too. So should the black people of Hispanic descent get reparations? Like people, I hate to say this, but instead of handing out money, cash money to people, I would just prefer them improve the educational system. I prefer them take some of that money and, change out all the plumbing in Flint so that people could actually be comforted and drinking the water that flows through their tap. Like fix the areas in the country that we need. Like fix the homelessness issue. Start building tiny homes for all these homeless people, because a lot of homeless people I see are black. They're not white. It's so much more that can be done. And I feel like this, even with this stimulus check, you're going to put all this money in people's hands that have no financial literacy. And all they're going to wind up doing is spending it with these companies that are not black owned and increasing the wealth of another group. Just saying. I'm going to stop right there.
Good. Let me get into another controversial question. Brother AC Star Talk Radio says Trump is a fraud and had no real legislation. Now, what I noticed about Republicans and Democrats, the difference between them is that Republicans oftentimes talk a lot about values, but little about policy, whereas Democrats will talk about policies. But we do know when we look at the ego symbol in this country, there's a right wing and there's a left wing, right? And so both of them get you in the end. The Republicans screw you with no Vaseline. Democrats will screw you with Vaseline. So both these political parties do play a lot of games. But I do tend to agree with AC that Donald Trump, if you look at his presidency, it was spent around a lot of issues around building a wall. Now, I did agree with the wall aspect because of what I'm seeing happening in California, but a lot of it was built on him beating his chest. But when you really look down and you say, well, what laws that he passed that benefited children, that benefited family, what did they really pass? Now, you may say that the $1,400 will be spent back into the hands of corporations. Yes, that will, because they want to stimulate the economy. It's true. But certainly, let's look at the fact that, and maybe I'm not looking at this right, I don't know, Raw B, but it's been reported by all accounts that the Republicans not one Republican voted to give Americans a stimulus check. And the stimulus package is not only about the $1,400, but it's about the other money that's going into other programs, such as housing and other things that people need right now. And I got to make this comparison. If we were living in Canada right now, we would be well taken care of. Canada's been giving their citizens $2,000 to $3,000 a month. They suspended all bills and all mortgages. And I know this because I know people that live in Canada. Now, that program might be shut down now because they don't have the problems that we're having with this quote unquote virus. But you got to say something. There's something's to be said when you've got neighboring countries that are doing a little bit better for their own citizens than maybe the United States. And then you got a political party that votes on nothing. They say no to everything and anything. What is your thoughts? Let's get controversial.
Okay, so now we're going to have to take it all the way back to the beginning of the Trump administration. The reality is Donald Trump had to spend his entire administration fighting accusations of voter fraud. He stole the election, this, that, and the third. Donald Trump was America's favorite son until he ran for presidency because he doesn't follow along the bloodline and the lineage of those that have been in the White House before him, all of his predecessors. So when people say that Donald Trump is a fraud, that's a fallacy. He didn't really even get a chance to shine in role of presidency. They tried to impeach him. They tried to say he stole the election. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's administration is responsible for these underground tunnels that were trafficking children and sex workers being destroyed. Donald Trump is responsible for Jerry Epstein being exposed as a pedophile. So when you really sit back and you think about the level of exposure that Donald Trump put on the corruption, the pedophilia, the bad behavior of those in seats of power, yes, you can understand more so why he was so trashed. And then when we get into the Republicans not voting now, of course they wouldn't vote. All of these things that Joe Biden is pushing forth right now, Donald Trump put them on the table of Congress and the Senate, trying to get them pushed at some point or another during this global pandemic. And he was told no by the Democrats because they wanted to get other things in there. Let us also not forget that Donald Trump wanted to terminate Fauci. He wanted to stop Bill Gates from having any involvement in this vaccine for this pandemic, because if you don't know, the Bill Gates family has close ties with Margaret Sanger, and their family is deeply involved in the eugenics program. So why would someone that is racist want to terminate access to someone who is in fact racist or believes in the study of the science to eliminate a group of people? You got to stop repeating sound bites, people. You got to sit back and analyze, make it make sense. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Donald Trump did a lot. He did a lot, and they were mad because what he did destroyed their infrastructure. It put a spotlight on the bullshit. Even all the things that he declassified, and to this day, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it on YouTube because they're going to put me in YouTube jail if I start reading y'all out the DI documents, but it's available for people to look at. People haven't even looked at that. Even Pizzagate. Pizzagate was a big scandal involving children, sex trafficking, Hillary Clinton, and all of this and all of that. People don't even look at those things. You cannot even find that. You can find. And I'm gonna stop.
I can tell you everything about Pizzagate because I got family in DC. What they were saying about the sex trafficking of children. They said there was a basement in the pizza restaurant. There is no basement in that pizza restaurant. I've been there, Sister Raw B. Let's get on this Donald Trump stuff. Let's talk about Donald Trump and how he. Look, my sister. It came out in the wash that there was no basement in this pizza restaurant in which people were putting out there that there was sex trafficking in this pizza establishment. That's all I'm going to say. That was found out to be a fallacy. Let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump did stuff, and I got the document. See, we can say, oh, he did all these things, but he actually did stuff that was going to hurt children in schools. He was actually destroying laws that protect your child. If you're like, for example, the children that were mistreated over this last week that we were talking about. Donald Trump's administration was doing things to weaken civil rights laws that would allow you to be able to stand up against these entities being discriminatory towards your child. I got the documents on that.
So we should do a video. We should do a video about it.
Yeah, there are things in his administration that was going to harm certain rights that people have had that has been on the books. He was weakening. And
what is in?
Let's say
in this bill that just got passed for this economic stimulus? Do you know what's in there that's going to harm the current administration, the current Black people right now from this administration?
Yes, I think what's going to hurt us specifically is what we've been talking about. I think immigration is going to hurt us. I'm not happy with the fact that when Biden got into office, he did this whole thing about he's going to reform the prison system. I know for a fact that there's more black men and women in state prisons than we are in freaking federal prisons. He didn't do anything. He didn't exonerate anybody. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with the fact that, yes, okay, people who have alternative lifestyles, they should have the right to be with who they want to be with. But what did he do? He put that front and center. He put immigration front and center, him and Kamala. Yet it was black people. You know this. I ain't got to preach it too hard. It was black people who made him win this presidency. Black folks in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, black folks in Georgia that turned Georgia blue. Say what you will, whether you think it was fraudulent or not. Black people in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We are the ones that turned the tide of this election for him in South Carolina in the beginning, and yet he has yet to do anything that's tangible for black people, but yet he wants to help everybody else. And then when he was asked during a debate a long time ago, he was said, Joe Biden, what is your thoughts on reparations? And he started saying, it's about immigrants and you better get over it. He never answered the question. I've got a problem with that. I got a cut card. I got a cut card. I don't have no cut card. I will talk about the Democrats and I'll talk about Republicans when they're both in the wrong. Let's talk about the fact that they caught Trump on audio tape right now, trying to pander to trying to get them to give him 11 million more votes. And guess the states that they were focusing on. You know this, sister. They were focusing on the states where it was mostly high black turnout. And I just named those states, those places. So Donald Trump, in his administration, they tried to marginalize, underestimate, and undervalue the votes of black people who mainly voted high numbers of absentee ballots. So his racism is shrouded in a very covert, slick way. See, this is the thing. I wasn't a fan of Donald Trump before he became president. I never liked him because I go all the way back to Donald Trump from the day that he mistreated the Central Park Five. I go back to Donald Trump when he was trying to make black people in his apartments go through the back door, which is why he got in trouble with the federal government. Him and his father, who was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, Fred Trump. They have been shrouded in their in-convert racism. Not to mention there's video out there or audio out there where Donald Trump said himself he would never let a black person do his taxes or be his accountant. Oh man, this guy has all types of stuff. Now, we think that he's not racist and he's not a problem because he hangs out or has hung out with the Al Sharptons of the world or rappers. Give me a break. Al Sharpton is a fraud. Jesse Jackson is Messy Jackson. And those rappers, give me a break. What have those rappers done to make black society better? It's a transactional relationship. They're getting something from him and he gets something from them. So Donald Trump has got all type of flaws, my sister.
Okay, but
I'm sorry about that. Your computer fell down. He's got all type of flaws that we can pick on.
Right, but now let's talk about Biden. Because you had a lot to say about Donald Trump. Yeah. So let's talk about Biden. Biden has called African Americans super criminal. Biden has been in Congress for over 4 decades, pushing laws that amp up and keep black people in jail. Oh, 3 strikes you're out. Oh, this war on drugs. Oh, this, that, and the third. So when people put racism on it's a wash. Both of them have their issues that they're not perfect. And, people can look at it however they want to look at. So at the end of the day, we're looking at the actual laws and what has actually been done. People don't have to like Donald Trump. I mean, it is what it is. He's not in office anymore. But to say that somebody's whack because they have a different political viewpoint than you shows how narrow-minded that you are. And maybe you should expand yourself and open up. Because Biden is not your savior, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. Biden has categorically, even in that leaked Zoom call that was not from that long ago, said America is doomed because of black people. He doesn't have any respect for black people. So if you think that any laws and anything that he's doing right now is for the edification and uplifting of the African-American community, then you're asleep. Period.
And Raw B, that's the reason why I said in the beginning that I've always had a problem with either political party, with either one of the individuals, because Joe Biden, you can make the argument that Joe Biden has had more incidents where he has been disrespectful to black people. Yes, you can make the argument of that because we've got it documented, right?
Exactly.
He actually disrespected us on that interview where he says that Hispanic people have many views and many this and that, unlike the African American. And then he had to take that shit back. You're absolutely right. So you get no argument with me. I just think that, look, let me ask you this question. Should we as black people get less caught up in personality of a person and more caught up in their whether their platform or their what do you call it? If what they're going to do political aligns with what we need as a community, meaning a lot of times black people, we do get caught up in personalities, right? One of the reasons why Trump was so popular because we all grew up watching him on Lifestyles of the Rich. Some of us, depending on how old you are, we watched his TV show and we liked his celebrity status that he has. And we liked the fact that we saw him all booed up with rappers and people that we enjoy seeing. So we got bamboozled by his personality, but we need to get more bamboozled by not Joe Biden or his personality, but what are they going to do for us? This is where I think black people went wrong with Joe Biden. He never promised us what he was going to do for us. I'm not yelling at you, sister. I'm just saying it for effect.
I know.
He never promised us.
Right.
He never promised us what we were going to do. Why would we vote for anybody? I don't care whether Republican or Democrat who does not confirm what they're going to do for us. And then we sit back and we say, oh, he's not doing anything for us. Why should we be surprised? Joe Biden never promised black people anything. If you really think about it, he never gave a definite, but we did hear him and Kamala Harris on many occasions say what he was going to do for other groups. Now, when it comes to Trump, I got to be honest. I believe in being truthful.
Tell the truth.
Trump actually told everybody what he was going to do when he ran for president. He said he was going to put a wall up for the border. He said he was going to stop the immigration, letting these folks come in here at the droves. He said everything he was going to do. And I'll be honest with you, Trump didn't lie about it. He actually tried to do everything. So when he was pompous in his attitude, he was honest. He was honest. Now, he only got 8% of the black vote, of course. And then, of course, he said that, well, I've improved black unemployment. And that's been a big debate as to did he really improve it or was it a byproduct of Obama's administration? There's a lot of things you can debate about that.
Yeah. With the unemployment thing, I think that kind of I think the unemployment thing was kind of just a byproduct of everything that was going on. And thank you for actually telling the truth about President Trump. Like, it is what it is. Like, you, as a lot of people have said in the chat, the government is not for you. None of these presidents are for you. To sit there and get in your little feelings and have an attitude because people see different points that are good and bad in either politician makes you seem a little bit off your rocker at the end of the day. Like, Biden is not for you. If you feel like Trump wasn't for you, Trump maybe wasn't for you. But we did also say before we got into the controversy that immigration is not good for African-American people. And Biden is pushing immigration to happen. So is Biden really that great of a president when he's doing something that could categorically shift your life as an African-American in America?
Well, let me say this. Let me say this respectfully to my brother AC Star Talk Radio. He says you guys are ignorant. When Biden said he owed his election to the black community, AC and everybody listening, that's fact. Joe Biden did say that. I'm not denying that. He did say that, AC. But what I'm saying to you, dear brother, and everyone listening, is that it's not enough for Joe Biden to tell black people in America, black society, that he owes us. He says that we're the ones that got him elected. I don't want to hear. I want less talk. I want action. I want an executive order where he sits up there. You must got dogs in the house. Let me mute you there. All right.
I'm trying to mute. Okay.
All right. I'm sorry about that, folks. What I want Joe Biden to do, and I hope everybody can Okay, folks, I'm sorry about that. God damn. All right. Basically, what I was trying to say to my brother AC and to everybody listening, I'm sorry about my mutation here, muted mic, is that, yes, Joe Biden said that he owed black people, but I'm still waiting to see what it is that he is going to do. Because when he got into office, his executive orders were for Asian Pacific Islanders who he said were being discriminated against. The racial justice component was him saying they're not going to do contracts with private prisons. They're going to kind of cut their relationship down with federal prisons. But yet most of our people are in state prisons. So I'm waiting to see what is the tangible bill for black people specific, just as he's doing specific things for immigrants, immigration, the DACA issue, and the things that he's doing specifically or will do specifically for the gay community. Black people are still waiting for our executive order. Will it take the end of this year? Will it take the full 4 years? Will it take 3 years? Where is the executive order specifically tailored to black society? That's all I'm trying to say, brother AC. That's all. That's all. Everybody has a right to their opinion, but not their own facts. Everybody can express themselves, even if we agree or disagree. It's okay. We need to have these discourse, even if we disagree. Okay, back to the basics. I mean, oh my God. Back to Raw B. I'm losing my mind right now. Back to the basics is a moderator in my chat room. Raw B, back to you, sister. My God, I'm losing my mind right now. The discussion is causing me to lose my mind. And then I forgot that I was muted the whole time. God, I'm so sorry about that, folks, that I was muted. The whole time I was speaking, I'm thinking y'all hearing me.
I apologize. My little Bijan, he's excitable. So, I apologize about that, y'all. But, when it comes down to these presidents, none of these presidents are for us. Even everybody's beloved, President Obama wasn't really for us and didn't really do anything specific to our community. And that's because we don't have any equity when it comes to negotiations with politics. We have to start, grooming politicians. We need more representation from our actual communities and our groups pushing the agenda that we want to hear in a governmental capacity. And we're not doing that because people sit around and they want to argue nuances. Well, this person did this, but this person didn't do that. So that means this person is a racist, but this person ain't a racist. But I'm going to ignore the fact that this person then kept and put mass incarceration bills to keep us down. But now that they are president, they not racist no more. Like, come on, you got to stop it. That's annoying to me. I can't even deal with it. Good. I salute to President Biden and Kamala. I hope they do something great for the people, but we all know, damn it, this camera, my child knocked this camera down and it's doing whatever it wants to do. But we all know the reality of it is none of these presidents ever do anything for African Americans, not really. And even if you get a reparations, if you get a reparation with no education or money or wealth, what good does that really do you?
Well, some would say, so that's another controversial issue, because there are some out there that would say that if we had reparations, that would give us the ability to create our own educational institutions, our own schools more further. And some of the things that we suffer from in our community, we would have the money to improve our life. I mean, for example, let's look at Detroit. Let's take Detroit, Michigan. And anybody out there from Detroit, you could probably attest to what I'm going to say. When black people migrated from the South to Detroit, you know these stories, Raw B. They migrated because there were job opportunities and in the car industry. And there was a time when black men and black women, they got married, they could buy a home, they could put their kids to school because there was a thriving economy during the industrial systems that we had in this country. There was a thriving community that was doing well. And the minute that those jobs begin to dry up, like in any community, those industrial jobs, then that's when crime went up. That's when drugs went up. That's when all kinds of disparities went up in a place like Detroit and many other cannery cities like Cleveland, Ohio, places like that. So what that tells me is that tells me in my mind that when black people, and remember, a lot of black men and women that migrated, they weren't the most quote unquote educated. They didn't have big old fat degrees with PhDs. They were just regular black folks from the South who moved and migrated, and they were hardworking. So that tells me that when black people have opportunity, job opportunity, opportunity for ownership, and when we have economic growth in our community, it brings crime down. It brings things down. So imagine if black people got $200,000 or $350,000 annually, influxed into your bank account. Now, of course, you're going to have some knuckleheads that's going to go piss off their money. We're going to always have that. You can find knuckleheads that piss off money in other communities. Okay, that's going to happen. But let's say you put that influx of money into our checking accounts annually. On top of the fact that you exempt us from, so people ain't going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it. Exempt us from taxes. So instead of taking home just a little bit of your money, you taking home everything. And guess what? For anybody that says, well, you can't do that, you got to pay taxes, we're going to pay it forward, because we're going to take that extra income and we're going to buy cars, television. We're going to put that money's going to go back into the economy any goddamn way. So you're going to basically get it in the form of tax through goods and services. But if you were to do that, what's the one thing that's hurting black people? Our health comorbidities, right? Well, if you have money, you can pay for the best doctors. You can pay for the best treatment. All those things economically would put us up. Now, when you look at white society, for example, why is it that white society doesn't have these disparities that we have? Because white society has what? They have wealth. They have home ownership. They have economics that flows through their communities. They control industries. They have infrastructure. All the things that we don't have at high numbers that hold us back. And American society was built on slave labor. All these cities, Chicago, New York, were built on slave labor through the triangular slave trade. So they have benefited. There are companies existing today that have benefited from that enslavement. So a goddamn debt is due. Raw B.
It is, but I mean, I'm gonna put this out here in a different way. And people are not gonna like what I have to say, because apparently one of your subscribers is very upset with me in your chat. But let's be real honest. Let's tell the truth. If they do decide to give a mass exodus of money to African American people, what they are conversely going to do is raise the prices on everything else. They're going to raise the prices of healthcare. They're going to raise the prices of this, that, and the third, because they already have everything super high that is effective for African American people, so that we can't afford it. So if they give you $1 million, now the treatment that you need is going to cost $2 million, just so you can't afford it. See, what they do in America is they dangle a carrot. What a lot of people don't understand is what we are living in right now is the loose ends. Here, take the phone, little child. Take the phone, baby. No, you just want to stay right here. Okay. We are the loose ends. We're the remnants of a crime.
Okay.
This is why eugenics comes into play. They want to get rid of us. They want to eradicate us. They want to make sure they keep everything just outside of our grasp, so that we work ourselves into an early grave. We don't have time to take care of ourselves. We eat a whole bunch of fast food and fried foods. We buy into this myth that we are the biggest, people that die of cardiac failure and blah, blah, blah. And we, get it ingrained into our mind that this is going to happen to us and this is how we're going to die. And no, we can't eat fruits and vegetables and go out and go jogging and do these different things. They are setting up this whole matrix to keep us down because they want us gone. And when you really sit back and think about it, this is a group of people that made endless amounts of money for the free. They didn't pay parts. They didn't pay for no labor. They're going to do everything in their power to never pay Black people reparations. And people could think I'm whack, and people could say whatever they want to say, but you're looking at it from the mindset and the space of an African-American person. You're looking at it in your emotions. I'm looking at it in the reality from the position of the people with power. The people with power are not going to give you what you want. And until we can unify and get together enough to take it back, to take
Yes.
it back, not ask, not say, oh, please, sir, can I have another? But walk into somewhere and demand what is ours. It ain't gonna happen.
Right. I got a bunch of things I need to do administratively right now. First of all, AC, you're on fire, Raw B. You're on fire. And even if people have difference of opinion, it's okay. I mean, that's how we learn. AC just gave me a $19.99 super chat, just being blessing the platform. I appreciate that, AC. And I got people who have cash at me. We got Deborah Catch by Faith. She gave me a $10 super chat. Thank you, my sister. We got Leonardo, who gave me a $5 super chat. I appreciate that. And I thank my man, We Here. And I think I had him on the screen. He might have super chatted me. I'm not sure. I think he did. He said, hit the likes. We Here. Thank you, brother. You've been supporting my channel. You've been coming over, supporting me, and I appreciate that. Let me just call some folks out. We got Tanya in the house. We got AC, Star Talk Radio. This brother has initiated us into the controversial conversation that we're having, but a necessary conversation. I appreciate. Sometimes I don't really want people that's going to agree with everything, because that's how you really kick a good discussion off with people who may have a different opinion than you. We got Shaka that's in the house. We got Tiffany Jackson. She says, while we fight for reparation, the black community needs to educate our children, build businesses, get our advanced degrees, grow skills, set when we get. We keep it in our community only. Good points there. Now we got the B lady. Thank you for coming by. She says, information man here, listening and working. Keep on telling the truth. Thank you, my sister. Tell the truth. Just thank you a lot for that. And we've got Steven, who says reparation is not a one-time cash payment. It must be multi-generational payments with free mental health services, free health care, free highly education, prime real estate, and protection from troops. Yeah, I think reparation you have to have land involved in this too, because land is very important. And I also think it's another controversial thing I'm going to say. I also believe that black people should be exempt from all military service. Enough of our people have died serving this country and then coming back home only to deal with racism, starting with World War I, World War II, the Civil War as well, mistreatment. And I know people get excited when they talk about Chris Attucks, because he was the first man to die in the Revolutionary War. Well, I'm going to be controversial here, folks, and you're not going to like what I got to say about Chris Attucks. I think that the Negro should have died because he fought on the wrong side. He fought on a side for those who basically oppressed us in the end. Now, I know Chris Attucks was a free black man, but he fought on the wrong side. He was fighting for their independence. He fought for their independence, but we didn't get any damn independence, which is why I'm very indifferent about 4th of July, personally. That's how I see it. But everybody is entitled to their own opinions. We've got, there is Black Back to the Basics. And why I do that, I'm going to play the music and come back to Raw B in just a moment. And here we go.
Tell them run it up. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, I'm down now. Check, no drip, this. Tell them run it up. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it up. I wake up, flex, I'm down now.
All right. And once again, for some of you that are coming in, this is Raw B Privilege. She has a YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe. I have her channel, her channel link in the description of this video. If any of the mods would like to drop her link, do so, please. And for those of you who did drop it earlier, thank you. Let me show you real quick again, for those who weren't here, a nice intro that she has, and here it goes. All right.
Sleep, no rest.
Information.
Tell the truth.
I absolutely love that.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Go ahead and subscribe. Another thing I'm going to be asking people to do, because I did some YouTube research today, I will be asking people to not occasionally, but all the time, make sure you look at another video that I've already done, another live stream, even if it's just for a few minutes. For example, remember this live stream right here. Make sure you check out the last live stream I did with the Radical Sister. If you have not had a chance to check that out on the channel, go ahead and check that interview out as well. And prior to the Radical Sister, there was the African Esquire, who has a book, and I told a lot of people to check her book out. Check out that particular video if you had not had a chance to check that video out. And of course, this video, which is still live right now with Raw B Privilege, the butterfly, looking real good in that picture there. I may say myself.
Thank you.
That's the truth.
Tell the truth.
Delicious. Go ahead and let me get this straight for people that are listening. I know for example, there's people that may not agree with things that you said, but I'm going to tell you, if you go over to her channel, she talks about a lot of different issues, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that she's going to say out of her mouth that you are going to agree with. Okay. And politics is a touchy issue with everybody anyway. Would you agree, Raw B?
Yes, it definitely is, because, when you start talking to people about politics, it ultimately speaks to their inherent belief systems. But how me and the Information Man show wound up actually getting together is he's come on my panel and Fighting That Sleep. And I believe in respectful debates. At the end of the day, each unique individual is going to have their own mindset. And there's been things that Information has pulled up and shown me, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. There's been things that I've pulled up and I've shown him, and he's been like, wow, he didn't know that. So it's like I said, it's really easy to get caught up in sound bites, but it's harder to do research for yourself. And when you see people that are passionate about a topic, they're usually passionate because they've done research, and they can give you statistical data. They can give you all the analysis of the information or what have you. They can pull up the laws and the statutes. I'm one of those people, but I believe that everybody should be heard. And also, Black people got to stop trying to disrespect people. Someone said I'm ghetto. Okay, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. You don't know me, and you're a person on the internet. Your opinion is your opinion. Why are you upset because I don't agree with you? Let us stop requiring everybody to be an echo chamber. Let us stop requiring people to just spit back to us what we want to hear. That's another reason why we don't have growth in the community. Everybody's scared to break the chains and step outside of the box. I'm not afraid to do that.
Well, I like the one of the things that I like about you is that you're not afraid to say things that would be seen as unpopular for some people. I've certainly have said things. Look, folks, I'm a humble guy. Sister Raw B's humble. I have certainly said things that people don't agree with. I don't expect everybody to agree with what I'm saying. And if I'm saying something you don't agree with, I got no problem with people challenging that thought process if it's a bad one that's not the truth. We're going to all have different opinions because of our age, where we live at, where we come from. Like for example, some of you might have been shocked by my very conservative view of immigration, because you may say, man, damn, Info sounding like he damn Donald Trump, or he's Black Trump or something. Well, I said what I said because of where I live at. I'm in California. I see directly how immigrants are people who come over here illegally. And Raw B, you're right. There are people who come here on visas and they overstay their visa and then they never leave. But I actually see the impact. And you know where I see it the most? One of the reasons why California has high overcrowding in the prison system, which is why they had to let people out who don't have violent crimes, like hurting people with guns and stuff like that, is because we have a lot of people from across the border who come over here, commit crime, and then we got to put them in our prisons, and then our tax dollars are paying for their medical expenses and every damn thing else. And it's draining the system where, for example, there was a woman that I knew who worked as a security guard. She was a sister. She had hypertension. She was on medications. She was working 2-3 jobs, and she was having a hard time paying for a lot of things. She was struggling, basically. She could not pay for all her medicines. She ended up dying. It never should have happened. But guess what? In the prison system in California and maybe across the country, taxpayers pay for all the medications that these inmates get. So they'll go to jail after committing crime on society, and they don't have to worry about not getting their medications. They can get them. Matter of fact, sometimes they'll have them stacked up in their rooms. If you are transgender, let me break this down to you. If you are transgender in California and you were taking hormones before you got arrested, and then you get arrested after committing crime on society, do you know that the state of California, while you're in prison, they can still honor giving you those hormones as a transgender or transsexual inmate, even though you committed crime, because you were getting it on a doctor's order in the community? So the state California prisons will still have to pay for it while you're incarcerated if you still want it. Now, you tell me, my sister.
Tell the truth.
Hell no. Listen, that's an elective surgery. If you elect to change your body, you go to jail. Ain't no taxpayer supposed to pay for you. But I will tell you that I did spend some time working in correctional facilities. And yeah, the ICE units are pretty big, and the ICE inmates get preferential treatment. ICE inmates get treated better than African American inmates. Hands down. They get extra food, they get extra benefits, they get a cushier job. Like, they'll traditionally have the ICE inmates work in the kitchens or maybe like do some stuff on the grounds, but not really doing the hard labor. So it's kind of like a colorist type of thing inside of the jail infrastructure. That's what I observed in my time that I was there. But the whole prison system is a juxtaposition, because they also have prisons that are making some of the clothes and some of the products that you use today. Depending on what part of the world you're in, some of your produce even comes from a prison. So if they are, it should be regulated, because if a prisoner is making products that are getting sold in industry for a high dollar amount, then that corporation should be paying for their care, not the taxpayer.
Right.
Honestly.
Right. I would agree with that. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and lie. There are people that benefit from it. You know, we there's a lot of black people who work within those environments, and they're benefiting economically. When you hear remember the old term back in the day that crime doesn't pay? Yes, it does. Crime pays the police, it pays the judge, it pays the lawyer, it pays the correctional officer, it pays the person that works in mental health in the system like myself, right? But check this out. One of the things, and people hear me say this all the time, and I know they're probably tired of me hearing this, but I'm very proud of the fact that I have actually, in my years working in the environment, I'm very proud to know that I have actually helped change some of the brothers that I've come across life. Some of them that are not coming back, because what I do, Raw B, is I have a chance to work with them in a classroom setting. It's just me with them, and we go over everything. We talk about history. I do things to try to inspire them. When I have guys that come to me and talk to me and they're talking about, hey, I feel like I want to take my life. They're having issues at home with their family. I'm almost like, and I don't think I'm better than anybody, folks, but I just got to tell the truth. I become like a de facto father or uncle for a lot of these guys. And it becomes across racial boundaries, because I'm in a position where I'm trying to counsel and promote those that are able to parole back to society, to not come back to prison, to not engage in crime again, and get to the nitty and gritty of their crime. Now, a lot of times, fortunately, because I got to be professional, like I told you before, I do come across dealing with people who have done some of the most despicable things that you could never imagine. And even if I don't like the nature of their activities, I still got to be professional in my capacity. But there are a lot of folks, there are a lot of guys that are in the system that are getting out and they're changing their life. So therefore, there's no excuse for any of us who don't have criminal records to not want to do things to transform our life. Now, do we have targets on our back? Yes, we do have targets on our backs, but we got to still go forward and upward. Well, go ahead, Raw B. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
No. I was saying exactly. I completely agree with you. Like, there's no way that there should be this much hubris. We really just need to, I don't know, learn how to communicate with one another. Communication in our community is at an all-time low. And then the lack of communication leads to crime, which leads to incarceration, which leads to a life of limited to no opportunities, because people that are like in prison, they can get their charges expunged from their record, but they don't do the research to get it expunged, or the people around them don't know how. So it's just something that lingers on their, you know what I'm saying, their history. And then that's just who they are. Like, the education system is not meant to open the mind of the African in America. That's just the facts. So you have to want the knowledge. And I'm going to tell you this as a person that does a lot of research. Please don't take the first 5 links that you see on Google to be the absolute truth or the only important inference. You got to sometimes dig a little deeper. You got to sometimes, actually go to a library and pick up a book and really understand a topic. Like, I don't know. I feel like everybody just goes off of a quick Google search. And if you put the wrong terms in, or if you don't put something in a specific order, you're not going to get the full scope of what you're trying to look for either. I just feel like we don't do enough education. We don't educate our children. We don't educate ourselves. We don't educate these politicians on what we need. Like, we don't fight for us. We fight against each other, but we don't fight for each other.
Well,
let's start fighting for each other.
Let me say this. AC, I want to go back to something that he wrote. Let me see right here. He says that the criminal justice system and the educational systems are job programs for white people, i.e. the judges, lawyers, and teachers. And AC, you just ran right into what I had said earlier when we went on, is that when you look at what's happening to our young kids in school, it is usually the truth of the matter where a lot of this racism and white supremacy gets its roots, because black males in particular, as well as young ladies, we are being picked on at the preschool, elementary level, high school level, middle class level. Like I said in my podcast this week, at that level, we're being attacked. And Raw B, I got to ask you this question. There was a time, and many of us wasn't alive. We were just a twinkle in the spirit of our ancestors. But there was a time when in segregation, black people were forced to have their own schools. And as we know the story, when black people had their own schools being taught by black men and black women, where there was nurturing and there was love, did black America or black society have these problems until we begin to immigrate and do this busing programs and all these things that start to occur around the country over the years? Did we have these problems with our kids having all these issues in school? And especially as it relates to our kids being put in special education, being put in knucklehead classes, being deemed as hyperactive, an animal, all these things that look, here comes another story. These are things that happened to me in school. I'm not only talking about it, but I was a victim of it. They tag black male children in particular, as I said earlier. Raw B, what is the correlation between us having our own educational systems and now integrating into this, I would say, a burning house?
I was going to repeat what Dr. King said. Dr. King said he feared he was integrating us into a burning house. And, I can't say that I disagree. And it's interesting because I had just been doing some research on, the segregation and what happened around the time when everything got desegregated. Like, even in that moment, there had to be armed guards coming to allow us entry. This goes back to what I said earlier when we were talking about reparations. Why is it that Black people always want to be accepted, always need to be included? I've never understood that my whole entire time on this earth. A whole group of people can't stand you for the color of your skin. And instead of saying, oh, all right, that's them, I don't really care what they feel. It's, oh no, let me in. You have to, because no, nobody has to like you. Nobody has to accept you. We're expecting the same rights from people that are not listed in historical documents as property. Mm-hmm. And, some people say, oh, well, that was just about taxes. I don't care what it was about. The mere fact that in any capacity, African Americans still on paper are listed as 3/5 property. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. What can you expect from people now look at you as 2/5 of a human being? Yeah, keep your kids at home. Hide your kids, hide your wife. It's only going to get worse. And if you think these stories haven't been going on, I'm here to tell you, you would be mistaken. These stories have been going on. The gift of social media is that now every story has a platform and has the potential to go viral, and a whole bunch of people know about it. What you think's been happening since integration?
Right. Raw B, let me say this to everybody out there. I really appreciate everybody in the chat room that's been hanging in there with us. It's been a long stream, but it's been a great stream. Let me say to everybody, let me see, we got AC Star, who's been he contribute to kicking this discussion off in some of these areas. So I got to shout out that brother. We got Debrat, right? We got Rico Debrat in the house, if I'm saying that name right. We got Big Dog Philly in the house, OG, AC in the house, my main man and supporter of my program. he's like in the back of the bushes producer over here. Brother's been supporting me heavily. And I love Jay Sean. He's over in Germany. This is a man's man, okay? Has a daughter, takes care of his business. He's a well-traveled man, and he's a man's man. He's well-known within the YouTube streets. And another thing, too, he's not a brother to toy with, okay? He's not a brother to toy with.
Tell the truth.
He's not a brother to BS around with. He is not with the BS. So I appreciate him coming over. We got back to the basics again. We're going to come to a conclusion very soon, folks. This might be one of my longest interview streams that I've done like this, but the conversation has gotten juicier and juicier. And this might make up for all the times that we were supposed to go on live and we didn't. So we're making up for all that lost time right in this long stream here. And then we got my sister, the B lady. Now this is the thing. The B lady is incredible. This sister works, actually, her name is who she is. She's a beekeeper too. I think if I'm right, on your land, you have a bee column that you take care of. I got to get her on the show, and I've been saying this for a while now, to interview her because, folks, if we don't have bees and certain insects and certain things, we're doomed. Matter of fact, let me ask you this question. Not to get us too far off subject, but it's relevant. Raw B, during the last few summers that have passed, how often have you seen with your own eyes a traditional honeybee flying around outside?
I haven't, but I've seen the mosquitoes.
But that's the problem, my sister. You said mosquitoes, but I'm talking about traditional honeybees. Now, when I'm driving in my drive, when I'm coming from work, and there's times when I drive to some rural environment to cut past the freeway when it gets trafficky, and I see farms, right? And I see plants, and I see honeybee hives that are put near the crops. And I'm saying to myself, why do they have to do that? They probably have to do that because they can't get bees to naturally fly by the crops and pollinate. So they have to bring in people like the bee lady who has a business or a company or whatever to bring in her bees to help their crops. That shows you how bad our environment has gotten, my sister. I remember a time growing up when you saw honeybees flying all over the damn place.
This is the thing. This is all right. Well, we're gonna just tell the truth. Them chemtrails.
Tell the truth.
It's the chemtrails. And what I know you were talking about honeybees. Why I said that I don't see bees, but I see mosquitoes is I honestly think they deliberately sabotage the atmosphere to get rid of the majority of bees so that they could slip in this nanotechnology with these mosquito type of instruments. Do you notice how many diseases are transmitted through mosquitoes?
Wow. Yes. So now we're getting into a real deep area here, Raw B, because you're right. Mosquitoes are carriers of diseases, but you've never heard of a traditional honeybee being a carrier of disease. They are a carrier of life.
Tell the truth.
Because they bring life to the plants, they create life, and in turn give us food, and they pollinate our environment, which is important for our life too. And let me put this back up here. B Lady said this. I think this is powerful. She said, wait a minute. Damn it. Where is that comment that she said? Okay. B Lady says, information man, amen. Those are white folks' hives that make big money by sending out their hives. So you telling me that, B Lady, you're telling me that you're not getting those contracts to be able to send out your hives? Wow.
She said she refused to do it.
Okay, let me see what she's saying here. Raw B, amen. Now the white. Okay, she no now raw now B Lady, folks. This conversation that we're having about the bees. I know you're probably saying, man, I turned on Information Man show. He talking about bees. What kind of goofy stuff's happening over here on his channel? No, this is very relevant conversation, folks. Very relevant. Don't laugh about this. Why do you not send out your collection of bees, bee lady? I'm just curious. But Raw B, do you see the relevance of the conversation? Because this has to do with our environment. And guess who's impacted by the environment more than anybody? Black people. It's called environmental racism, right?
Exactly.
Tell the truth.
It is. It's true. And you don't see, like, okay, where I live at now, it's a pretty comfortable neighborhood. I can tell you, you don't see the smog. You don't see people allowed to really light fires like that in their backyard, just burn whatever. The foliage around is much more taken care of. But when you go into the intercities or the hood and the ghetto, it looks a mess. People are doing whatever they want to do. The trees are down, and you guys know that trees and bushes provide oxygen. So there's a decrease of oxygen in the inner cities because they don't have the natural resources. And it doesn't, as Information Man Show said, allow for life-bringing organisms to come in. Where's a bee going to pollinate in the inner city? And what we've done in this country is we've cut off so much natural foliage, bushes, flowers, trees. We've repositioned them where we want them to be, where it looks good from a landscaping aspect.
Tell the truth.
Not taking into account, oh, how is that going to infect these animals that need to graze on this foliage in order to live? So yeah, this is not just an African American thing. This is an all people thing. What people don't realize is they are trying to limit food supplies, resources, availability. The end goal is to get you dependent on the system. That's just it. You can't grow your own food. You need special licenses to be a purveyor and to do certain things like fabricate meats. You have to have a permit and a license, which means you need approval from your state board to do so. You can't collect water that falls out of the sky in order to drink. Like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, Raw B, what I want to do now, I'm going to have to bring you back for another discussion like this. As I get to conclusion, I think we had a nice group, nice crowd of people who came over today. And I'm sure I'm going to be promoting this through social media. I'm sure this will get a lot more views on the video. I thank everybody in the chat room that's come through. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe, share this video on your social media. This is Raw B Privilege. She is going to say things that are going to be controversial that you may agree or not agree with, and that's okay. Make sure you watch this video in the repeat if you can. Don't forget the last video that I did with the radical sister not too long ago, who came over and did an incredible interview with me up the alley of environment and as it relates to radiation. Then remember that I had an incredible interview with African Esquire. Make sure you have, if you haven't seen that video on my channel, go and check that out when you have a chance. But right now we have Raw B Privilege, a family woman, intelligent intellect. She tells it like it is, not afraid to be bold at any time, given time of the day, night, evening, or the universe. Raw B Privilege, I need you to let everybody know again where they can find your channel. Now, everybody, again, you can find the description of her in the video of this video. You will find her channel. The mods, any of the mods that are in the chat room, go ahead and drop her link to her channel. But remind people where they can find you on social media. I do have a couple of your social media links. Before you go, let me do this. We got, let me see. We got the Facebook.com. You have a Facebook page to your channel. That's on here. It's Facebook.com, Raw B Honest Tea. You have
no. The Facebook is Raw Honesty Productions and the Butterfly Progressive. But I'm dropping the links in the chat right now.
Well, let me just tell you something, Raw B. I actually clicked into this link and it did bring me to your content.
Okay.
That link the link that you see right there, I actually clicked into it and it did bring me to something that had to do with you. It had your logo and all these good things that were on there. Now, let's make sure this is correct. Your Twitter handle is Raw B Privilege. So there, go to Twitter right there, ladies and gentlemen. Then let's go to your Instagram. Is this correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that's her Instagram, and you can find her if you put Raw B in pretty much everything. You're probably going to find her. Now, you've got a Teespring, and I'm going to be creating my Teespring pretty soon. You got a Teespring right here. Let everybody know what products are you selling on the Teespring?
Okay, so right now on Teespring, we have, T-shirts, mugs, totes, socks, all that good stuff. And that was our first endeavor into merchandising. And a portion of all of those proceeds goes to community action programs. But I also am launching a shoe line right now. And the shoe line is going to also go to end cyberbullying, a portion of the proceeds. If you guys notice, I did put a link in the chat to end cyberbullying. I have a petition going for that. And you guys can also come and check me out on my website, thebutterflyprogressive.com. Really and truly, I'm just, I like when people donate to platforms, but I also like to give people a little piece of me. So I'm using my creativity to create merchandise so that people can feel good about giving. And I'm taking a portion of that and paying it forward to other people that need it. We have already given money to Kids Source Therapy in Little Rock. We've also sat on the Governor's Council for Special Needs in Arkansas. I do stuff with the school district all the time. I went out, you guys can check on my page, and help the teachers. Well, I documented when the teachers went on strike in Little Rock right before the pandemic. I believe in being involved in community because this is where my children grow up. And my little boy that keeps running back and forth over here, he has autism. He's very high on the spectrum. And I know all the challenges that I faced and I still continue to face in dealing with his autism and the lack of information for early awareness, early screening, early interventions, getting certain therapies. So I'm trying to put out literature and information to educate the masses for that. I'm doing a lot and still trying to be a phenomenal wife and mother. So I definitely appreciate everybody that came through and is vibing with me. Please make sure you go over and subscribe to my channel. And,
Okay. Now, I got to ask you a controversial question. This is something I've been noticing. You see this on social media a lot. You'll have people that get on social media and they'll say, I'm married, I'm a wife, I'm this and that. When I notice that you are a wife, you have a son, and do you have a daughter or a niece? Because I saw a picture of a young lady that looked just like you.
Yeah, that's my baby girl. I have a daughter, and I also have a bonus daughter as well. So I have 2 little girls and a little boy, and my husband and a dog that y'all heard.
What I notice about you is that I hear people all the time saying, "Oh, I'm married, I'm this, I'm family man, I'm this and this and that," right? And then they'll be on they'll be in YouTube streets for 30, 20 hours, all this time, and I'm like, how can you be truly all those things when you're spending all your time? But I don't see you spending those kind of hours like that. You do. I can tell that I can still tell that you have a family schedule there. It's just that, look, today on the video, you had the sound outside of them cutting grass or something. I've seen your son's head. I can hear obviously noises in the background. And the reason why I've got no problem with that is because it really shows that you really got something going on outside of YouTube. You've got a organic thing going on. It's organic. You got a family situation going on. So you're not just, you're really 100% about it. That's family. That's why we're hearing these sounds. You can see your son. You've got family going on. You're a real person. And I respect that. So although there were the sounds and all of that, I hope people can disengage from the sound and engage with what the words are that were said today. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I think AC said he's got to get in contact with you because he wants to interview you as well. I've got to get AC on for an interview as well. So we got a lot of things that we got to do in this YouTube social media sphere.
Yes.
But see, this is the thing. This is what I notice about YouTube. The most important conversations that Black people need to have and should be having, people don't tend to run to that type of content in droves. But if you're doxing somebody, you're calling somebody a garbage bag, an N, I'm going to get you, sucker. Let me expose your family. Let me expose your family. Let me show you in some downtrodden manner. Let's argue about what's high value, which is a dumb argument. If you're born into this world, God brought you in this world, you're already high value. It's about what you do with yourself, because no matter how much money you make, how many cars you have, how many suits you wear, if you lose your income, however you make that income tomorrow, then what do you define yourself as? That's the big question, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? What do you define yourself as? Let me just do this before we end. I want everybody to vote. I want everybody to tell me in the chat room right now, and I'm going to stroll through your answers. If you are a high value person because you make 6 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, you got the clothes, you got the car, you got all these sort of things. What if you lose that income that gives you all those superficial things? Then what are you? What are you then? Let's see what everybody says. I'm just curious. Let's take this people's opinions now. Let me see. Come on now. Don't be afraid. Thank you for calm discussion. Oh, that's William. What's going on? Man, I got to get you on I got to get him on the program. William. I need his email. golly. I know this brother. I know.
Do you want me to drop your email in the chat?
Yeah, drop my email. I know William from View for Views channel, where we have very mature discussion over there too. Let's see what people are saying. I want to see what people are saying about this. Let me see what people are saying. Okay. Okay, everybody saying having a good night. Anyway, I'm going to leave everybody with that. I'm going to say to everybody, that's just a thought. If you lose your resources to that money that you make, then how you define yourself? How would you define yourself? Because I personally think that we should define ourselves beyond just superficial analogies of money. Because money can come and money can go, you know?
Exactly. Jay Sean is so silly, and I'm not even playing with him in this chat. You hear
okay,
me?
Jay Sean said, he said, wait a minute. Jay Sean said, I'm a 6-figure in, and I still ish raw meat. I still ish. Hey, man, back off. She's mine. No.
Tell the truth.
Oh, I love y'all, man. And I want to give a shout out to my brothers on this YouTube streets, though. Like, YouTube can be a little bit crazy because, you know, it is this push for the sensationalism and the nonsense. And I love the Black men on this platform that uplift the women and just have intellectual conversations. Like, y'all mean so much, and I want each and every one of y'all to keep doing what you're doing, because at some point the sensationalism is going to die, and we need the real leaders like y'all to be in the forefront. I look at you as such a leader, information man. You're always talking about things that are of the highest importance. Jay Shine too, Plude too, like as opposed to the nonsense. I don't ever see y'all talking about women and getting buns and money. That must be because y'all getting some.
Well, oh man. Well, let me say this. I think it's sometimes it can be generational, or it just can be how you were raised and brought up. But I think you hit on something. What I find is that most of the men that I've been around, and Jay Sean would definitely fall into that category. AC would fall in that category. William would fall in that category. OG, many of the men that are here would fall in that category, is because of the fact that usually when you don't have a problem with women in terms of being able to attract women, being able to be very Casanova with women, or whatever you may want to call it, then you don't really have much to complain about when you know that you don't have a problem. I find that people who do the most woofing are probably the individuals who are having the most difficulty with dealing with women, whether good or bad women, okay? Because there's some out there that are definitely, woo, right? But I don't spend as much time because I just don't have those kind of problems, because the minute I decide to be involved with someone, if they show me signs that I don't like, I just leave it alone and move on. And I'm kind of old school that way. I just don't see the benefit to me talking about women 24/7 on my platform. Okay. Now, have I been on panels before? I don't want to be a hypocrite. Have I been on panels? And Jay Sean would tell you this. Have I been on panels with other brothers in the manosphere where I have given my opinion as it relates to the females and situations? Yes. And I've said controversial things. Like I said, that I believe that men need to vet women. We don't need to be sticking our hot dog in every female, because not every female deserves to have the wiener swissel. Right? We gotta start vetting people around this place. I'm serious. I'm just, you know, my young one is coming. My young one's coming in, so I got to use these analogies. But I'm just saying that we got to be, as men, we got to be a little bit better on who we gonna involve ourselves with, because if you don't do that, you're gonna have a lifetime of pain. You're gonna be in the family court talking about, bitch, She got me in child support, man, and I'm paying all this. I'm living in a garbage can. You're going to live in a garbage can if you're making bad decisions, and you're going to live in a garbage can if you don't have 50-50 custody, if not all custody. I'm just keeping it 100% real. You take over from there. I'm going to mute my mic for a minute.
I can't. That is freaking hilarious. But yes, be picky, be great. You is patient, you is cute, and you is kind. You don't deserve the nonsense. No, but for real, I'm just joking around. But real talk, get educated. I don't care if it takes you 5 minutes a day until you get comfortable with, stepping outside of your usual routine. But excuse me, y'all, a little tired. It's been a long day. But get educated, stay focused, educate yourself on people you dealing with. Don't lay down with every Susan, honey. Don't do it. Don't do it. No. But other than that, yes, you better say that. Being a successful man is more urgent. That part. Being a successful woman too is more urgent than the type of man you could get. Because I see a lot of women that just want a man that have money so they don't have to take care of themselves. But ladies, if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your children? If you can't take care of yourself and your high value man loses his life or loses his job, how are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to maintain? Just saying. Tell the truth, that part. But, y'all. I wish I could show y'all outside. Oh, he did. Let me tell you something. My yard, we have a birthday today too, so I gotta hurry up and go do some dinner, honey. Do our birthday shenanigans. Y'all know me. I'm just silly. Just waiting for him to come bird. But yes, can I show? No, I can't even share the screen with y'all. Y'all make sure though that you come over to the website. I put a lot of blogs on my website. I have to actually start writing some more. Hey, Sir Roosevelt. They do complain about women 25 hours a day because they can't get one. Oh, you bad.
But let me say this. I have to be fair though here, Raw B, and that is the fact that I certainly understand that there are brothers out here who have legitimate grievances based on the experiences that they've had. So let me fix something right here. So I understand that. I understand that there are brothers out here who've had issues. And I think YouTube is like sort of a therapy for people. It allows people to express and talk about things that they may not be able to talk about, obviously on their job, maybe even in their families. But black men can come together and talk about issues that we find impacting us, whether it be family court. And I get that, because I certainly have been on panels with brothers that have expressed their issues of the effery of these things, and I get it. But at some point in time, you got to go from talking about it to having a plan of action. I've been on panels when I've talked to brothers and I've said, did you ever get 50-50 custody? No, I didn't. Did you apply for full custody? No, I didn't. Well, do you know the laws in the state that you live in? Oh, I just found out. Because every state is different. If you do not take the time to understand the family court laws in your state and understand that if the woman has the child full time, she can now turn around and demand so much money for you to take care of that child because she has the child full time, which means the court would see her as having full expenses needed for that child. Versus in my situation, I have 50-50 custody. So therefore, there's a split right down the middle where my child support is pretty set at where it is. And my ex cannot argue for X, Y, and Z because I'm contributing so much already. Plus she lives with me as well. Okay, from week to week. So I'm also, and in each year during the tax season, we rotate responsibility for claiming our child on our taxes. This year I'll be claiming. So we have that kind of relationship. And that's mainly because not only because we were adults about our decision making, but I also have 50-50 custody. So my ex-wife can't just take my child and go anywhere without me having say in it. She can't. There's a lot of power to the brothers out there with having some custody level of your child. The family court systems are designed to make money off of us. The minute you sign a marriage certificate, you've given the state that you live in the country, the right to interfere in your marriage. So a lot of times people, for example, people make fun of people who are not legally married under the law, who are common law married, and will say, oh, they're not even really married. But guess what? You can almost laugh at people that are married under the law because the law is now in your business. So if you get a divorce, why do you think divorces are so expensive, Raw B? Because the state has to get a cut of that money. Because why? The state has a contract with your marriage. And when you divorce, and this is not to minimize technical marriage at all, but when you get a divorce, the state says we can get us a piece of the action now because you have a contract with us. Remember, fool, you got a marriage certificate, fool.
Yep, and it costs money to file for divorce. It costs money to change your name back, all type of stuff. It costs money to change your name over in the first place. They drag it. The government, as a married woman, I tell you,
right?
They got me.
Now, Raw B. Before we end, we're going to leave people with a very controversial discussion to finally put a crescendo on today's program. This is the question I'm going to ask you as a married woman. A man, you've heard me say this before, a man is supposed to be charismatic for a woman, romantic, have a good hammer game, if you know what I'm talking about. We're supposed to be romantic. We're supposed to bring home the bacon and eggs, go out there and work and take care of you, give you protection, be funny, have great personality. We're supposed to do all of these things rolled up into one and be a good father, protector, as I said before. And then women, as far as traditional society says, are supposed to be good homemakers, raising the kids, which a lot of women do fantastic because the women are the first gods and educators that children know in the family. Okay, there's a bond there. So women are supposed to be great family, build a great family, take care of the family, raise the kids, take care of the house, all these different things, right? Be beautiful and all these different things like that, right? And I know there's a word that a lot of women don't like. People use the word submitting to the man. Look, this is what I want from a woman more than anything. I want respect. And this is where you can tell what a woman is not going to submit to a man if she doesn't respect you. So for men out there, how often does the woman in your life or women tend to covet your knowledge? How often do they call you to get your opinion, to consult you, to ask you, should I do A, B, and C, or should I do that? How often do a woman refers to your knowledge as a man in consulting with you? That tells you everything you need to know about whether she respects you, because women that don't respect you are certainly not going to consult your quote unquote wisdom if they see that you have it. So my question, when you take away the sexuality of a relationship, what a woman has between her legs that men get sort of buck wild about, you take all those things away, other than the woman's ability to produce children for you, what does a woman do for a man other than the sexual part and the part of the child offspring? What else? Because there's guys, I'm asking this question because there are certainly guys on social media who will say, I'm never getting married. It's not in my best interest. As a man, I lose everything. If I break up with that woman, she gets everything and I get nothing, and I'll end up living in a Cracker Jack box. So therefore, what does a man really get from the woman other than the punani, as some would say? And I know I'm being very raw here with my statements.
You're fine. He gets, a peace of mind, a house taken care of, someone that loves him. He gets a partner, someone to be his strength, someone that's gonna push him and someone he can push when neither one wants to do it anymore. It's a partnership being married, and you can't really list out the pros for each side because the pros and the cons ebb and flow every single day. Like, if it's a day when I don't want to do something, my husband does it. If it's a day when he doesn't want to do something, I do it for my husband. Like, ultimately, is the unconditional love is having
Mm-hmm.
a best friend that has your back all day. So when I see men that are like they're never getting married, it's so sad because they're gonna miss out on that level of intimacy. You know?
And I'm going to be honest with you here. There's guys who say they don't want to get married. They don't need to get married. They don't need this and that. All they got to do is build themselves up, get the money, get the bag, you know, be a bachelor or be a player, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm 51 years old, and I'm going to tell you something, guys. It ain't cool to be 60 years old and 70 years old or be an old dude coming home from wherever you come home from, going into a house that has no life, or apartment or house where there is no life in that house, meaning you are by yourself. It ain't cool to be some old dude sipping on chicken noodle soup by
Bad dog
yourself
2020.
with no woman in your life. At some point in time, I got to be honest, nobody wants to be an old man by themselves. That ain't cool. That ain't cool. Now, that doesn't mean that you rush and get with the wrong type of woman, but I'm simply saying as you get older as a man, you're not going to be concerned with how many women you can conquer anymore because you've been there and done that. You're not going to be concerned about how flashy your clothes are. As you get older, and I feel I've been experiencing this myself, Raw B. As I get older, there's just certain things that are not as important to me as they were in the past. And therefore, now you're going to be looking for more tangible things like, do I have the right partner in my life? Nobody wants to grow old by yourself and die in your bedroom by yourself. Even freaking bugs on the ground, bees and ants and beetles and all types of living organisms, they don't run around alone. They eventually have a mate, even if it's just for mating per se to produce another generation of bugs and beetles and things of that nature. So what makes us think as humans that we're any better of an organism than any other organism in which we think that we can be alone for the rest of our life? And check this out. There's already been studies that show that when men are married or in healthy relationships, that's the key word, healthy relationships, we live longer. When we're alone, we die alone. And I don't think a lot of guys want to deal with that reality, even on the YouTube streets.
Tell the truth.
That part. That exact part right there.
What's that?
They don't want to admit that truth, that they really doing all of this fussing because they don't want to be by themselves. You could wrap yourself up in a whole bunch of hundreds and 50s and 20s. It feels good on your skin, but it doesn't keep you warm. And you're not going to live long because ain't nobody going to make sure you took your vitamins today, that you drank the nasty smoothie, that you had some vegetables. Get on your damn nerve. That's what we do. Hi, that's what a woman's job is. We're going to make sure you're healthy. Did you take your medicine today? Go to bed. It's 3:00.
Yeah.
Why you sitting there playing the game? We could do a whole nother topic on that.
So this guy right here, Christopher, he says, I'm the old guy eating soup. While I'm 53, I don't feel old, but I do when I'm eating soup out of a can. Very funny. Very funny. But this is the seriousness of it all. The point I'm trying to make is that it is in our biology to have a connection to another human opposite of ourselves. And of course, there's people who have alternative lifestyles. They can do what they want to do. I'm not hating on it. Even if I don't agree with the lifestyle, that's their business. And this is my business. The bottom line is I would be lying if I said that I could live for the rest of my life alone and not have the companionship of a woman that I really care about and that cares about me and respects me. That's the key. Okay.
Exactly.
And I think that's ultimately what everybody wants. You want to be happy. You want to have someone that really has your back, which is why I said in the beginning, for men out there listening, if you're involved with a woman, really focus on her, how she respects you, how she behaves around you in terms of her ability to refer to you. Is she doing that? What is her level of respect for you? This is beyond sex and all this other stuff, but the level of respect that she has for you is something to really look at. Very importantly. Raw B, I'm about to get on out of here. I appreciate you being here, sister.
No problem. Yes, I had something to do in like 7 minutes too, so I'm glad we're wrapping it up now. Oh, look, and here comes trouble again. Little trouble boy.
Uh-oh.
Sure.
Uh-oh. He's coming back in, the son. The young man is coming back in to the fold.
He lives on the side of my body. He's just like, Ma. I love him.
Right.
But this was definitely a good bill. I'm so glad that you had me on, and I can't wait to have you back on Fighting That Sleep.
All right, no problem. We're gonna do that soon, my sister. Definitely. So let me get on out of here. Let me take myself front and center. That was Back to the Basics. Raw B. I keep saying back to the basics. Oh my God. We got Raw B in the house. That's Raw B, folks. Raw B. You know, I think I keep saying her name because we've done a couple of shows together on my podcast, and I've been so used to saying her name too because she's a big supporter of my channel. She's a big supporter behind the scenes of the channel, and I want to say peace to her out there, Back to the Basics, but I want to say peace to Raw B, privilege for being here. And so let me get over here and put myself front and center, and let's thank her again with a clap because she has been a lovely guest today. I thank her for being here. Thank you all for watching the program today and bearing with whatever technical difficulties that we might have had along the way. But hey, we're here. We're doing the damn thing, and that's what really should matter, ladies and gentlemen. So what I want to do is I'm going to hit the button for the music, and we're going to call it, we're going to put a crescendo on this. Be on the lookout for the second channel, the Information Man Speaks podcast channel. I'm dropping videos over there very frequently. And check me out over there. I don't know if I go live on this channel, it could be tomorrow, it could be Monday. I'll see what I do. It depends on the topics. I've got many more guests to come for more interviews that you are going to enjoy, folks, that are coming down the pipeline. So I definitely want everybody out there to look forward to those interviews that are coming down the pipeline. I want to thank everybody in the chat room that has participated today. I want to thank everybody that super chatted me today. I appreciate that. I got a lot of love in the chat room today. Tanya, AC, let me see. We got 12 Veils who came through. We got my man Sir Roosevelt who's come in, Clue who's come in, Brother Williams who's come in, Christopher W who's come in, Christopher who came in and said he's the old guy. Jay Sean, who is my main man and supporter of the channel as well. Back to the Basics is a big supporter. Fashion for Life. Natural has come in. Just everybody. Raw B. I want to thank everybody who's come in and showed some love to the channel today. So with that said, let's get out of here. Have a good evening, and I'll see you around the YouTube streets today, tonight, tomorrow, wherever I find everybody at. Take care. Peace to you.
So casually keep diving into concrete.
You are listening to Information.
So
Please make sure
bittersweet.
to subscribe to his channel.
Keep losing sleep while driving in the backseat. What's left of me? Drowning in what feels just like an ocean. Negative gets colder, you know.
Information
Sometimes everything
is
just
power.
gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some parts. Days just keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm down in the lower, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark. And maybe just a better kind of bitter. Lose gravity, I'm swimming in the quicksand. Up to my knees. Keep losing sleep, I'm manic, dream at midnight. So hard to please.
Please make sure to
Tell the
subscribe
truth.
to his channel.
Drowning in what feels just like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. Hard to keep the heat when it gets colder, you know. Sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some
Information
parts.
is
Days
power.
just keep on getting much
Tell the
darker.
truth.
Even when I'm down in the lower, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark. And maybe just a better kind of bitter.
Information is power.
Keep screaming out loud from the top of my lungs, baby. Ooh, think about the stuff we play. How I'd rather do that instead. I keep screaming out loud from the top of my lungs, baby. Ooh, think about the stuff we play.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.